Hello and welcome to Stade Charlotte here in the south of Paris for day 8 of the 2023 Paralympics World Championships. A breezy, a cool and overcast morning, the most cloud we've seen, and a slight bit of rain a little bit earlier. Nothing though here on the track, just in the surrounding areas, and all is set still to go ahead on what is going to be a wonderful Saturday here in Paris. The French are out in force. There will be Valentin Bertrand will be going this morning in the T47 long jump, and they'll have plenty to look forward to with slight rain forecast in the next couple of hours. You can see though 21 degrees still, 13 kilometres per hour. The wind, which is a little bit stronger than it has been over the early parts of this competition. It did pick up a little yesterday and the headwind was into the face of the athletes coming down that home straight, but overall the weather has been set fair and we can't complain about how it has been during the opening 6 days at least, and day 7 was a little windy, and today may pose a few problems, but as far as the events go, they will steam ahead at full blast. Getting underway with the women's shot put F57 final. Sophia Jalal, the world record last year and the Paralympic champion, will go in that. Shot put F64, men's discus throw F11, the visual impairment category. Then we'll move on to the track with 800 metres T53 and the women's 200 metres T11 heats getting underway as well. One final on the track, men's 100 metres T36 getting underway at 6 minutes past 11 local time. That will see James Turner, the world champion, up against the Paralympic champion Deng of China. I'm Tolson Tollett. Will Downing is alongside me and Steph Reed is with us as well as we head across to where the shot put will be taking place. Women's shot put F57 final, the first of the events to get underway. Nadia Homadini of Saudi Arabia will be first to be introduced to the crowd. There are 10 athletes who are going in this. Just to let you know as well, this, despite being an F57 category, will contain F55, F56 as well as F57 athletes. This is a seated throwing event. Ahomadani of Saudi Arabia will be the first to go in this event.
Representing
Nigeria's Kacharia Njeka Iyazi, who won gold in 2008 in Beijing and bronze in 2012 and 2020 in the Paralympic Games. Magahul Kamdamova of Uzbekistan, who took silvers here already in the discus at these championships. The reigning Paralympic champion Sophia Jalal of Algeria with her lifetime best of 11.56, 11.50 this year. She holds the world record in the F57 category set in Dubai last year. Maria de Los Angeles Ortiz of Mexico, Paralympic champion in 2012 and 2016. Sarah Mickey of Canada, we've already seen her in these championships, her lifetime best 7.71. From Cameroon, Arlette Mawe Fokoa, 8.98 her season best, her lifetime best, much better by 40 centimetres. Nassima Saifi of Algeria, already won gold in the discus here at these championships. She won bronze in Lyon back in 2013, so she likes competing in France. Zhu Mian of China, silver medalist in 2020, a lifetime best, pushing up towards the 11-metre mark of 10.81. And Gilda Guadalupe Cota of Mexico, who's taken 11th here in the discus at these championships, that lifetime best, also a season best of 10.68. So Jalal, the F57 world record holder and Paralympic champion. Ortiz set the championship record in 2015, the Mexican. So that is the F57 category. We do have athletes across the 55 and 56 as well. Good morning to you, Steph Reid, and this, the opening field event.
Good morning, and well, I'm Steph Reid. Hello, and as we all know, track and field athletics, it is an outdoor sport, and that means that you're going to have to deal with weather. And it's going to be interesting as we keep an eye on the shot put, because athletes in this category, they each take all 6 of their throws at once. And so this is an event where weather really can make a difference, because it may not be the same, it may not be even for everyone.
Well, you've got a good shot there, that overcast cloud that's coming across as we head down towards the men's discus throw, F11, the visual impairment category. That'll be getting underway shortly as well. The announcements and lineup set to be called there. You didn't hear me say your name, did you, a moment ago when I introduced you? You weren't listening. You're getting tired, see? On day 8.
Okay, well, I am getting tired. That is correct.
Let me see if this man hears his name. Will Downing.
Good morning, I'm Will Downing. How are you?
I knew you said my name. I was worried I was being rude by just jumping in and not introducing myself.
Hence, usually when you introduce someone, you say their name.
Well, look, now people know your name twice instead of not at all, and that's probably better.
Take it away, Will.
Yeah, lots happening in the field this morning. Just want to make a quick mention of the final race last night, women's 100 metres T54. Feels like Uzbekistan are having their best championships ever. Mauritius definitely are. Noemi Alphonse won silver in that last night. It is the first ever World Para-Athletics medal won by Mauritius in the history of the sport at a World Championships or at a Paralympic Games. So this is the women's shot put F64, and this is the F42 world record holders. It's a multiple category across 4 different categories. We have some goodness in this competition anyway. It is goodness. Nwachukwu of Nigeria. And now Novais de la Race of Cuba. In a bouncy mood. Meanwhile, for France, Alexandra Nouchet, 30 go, 8:56. Her lifetime best this year. For the United States, it's Samantha Hayesen. And remember, the United States scoring spectacularly last night in real great world record form for Noelle Malkamaki on her championship debut in the F46 shot put. This is the 64. Faustina Koklowska of Poland. Next up, championship debut at the age of 22 on a global basis. That's her. This is Yao Huan of China. The world and championship record holder set in Doha in 2015. Next up for Great Britain, it's Funmi Olawaye, 20 years old. Her global championship debut, 11:02, a lifetime best this year. Jana van der Merwe of South Africa. Now, there's a great sporting surname. 8:83, her lifetime best. For Fiji, it's Naibili Vatunasolo. Next up for Papua New Guinea, it is Regina Edouard. And the 11th to throw in this opening round, representing Germany, it is Lisa Martin Wagner. And these are the 11 in the women's shot put F64 category, which is the single below knee amputee category. But there are F63s as well, which is the single above knee, and F42s, which is the above knee, and 44, which is the single below knee without a blade. But you know what? We've got all morning. We can go in depth for that if you wish. And the cardboard cutouts are all set for Alexandra Nouchet. They came prepared. Did the fan club and the family. Actually, where we're perched in the stadium, which is just past the finish line, we're very close to the family enclosure. Coaches tend to be little bit down the back straight, although I suppose it depends what event they're doing. So for the United States in this, Samantha Hayesen, who is 17 years old, major championship debut completely, and she's an 11:07 thrower this year, which marks her out as the second longest. That's a lifetime best, by the way. So in terms of distance alone, Steph, great prospects again for the USA, who just keep finding these brilliant new names.
I can't even imagine being 17 and heading into my first World Championships as one of the favorites. And I guess the really exciting thing is as well, and possibly the scary thing for her competitors, is that at 17, she is nowhere even close to becoming to full strength. Women tend to develop their full strength in their 20s, late 20s. So just consider the career prospects for Hayesen.
So we leave the women's shot put F64, and diagonally at the opposite end, the third of the field events getting underway before we see anything on the track in the morning. We'll see the athletes introduced. A field of 8, men's discus throw, F11. This contains the world and Paralympic champion, Alessandro da Silva of Brazil. First up though, Álvaro Della Mocano. Lifetime best set this year of 39.20. Took bronze in the shot put here at these championships already. Madi Orlad, bronze medalist in 2019. Gold medalist here in the shot put already. A silver medalist in this event in Tokyo 2020. Monu Gangas of India, his season best of 34 metres, lifetime best 36.47. Cameroon well represented at these games. Clement Yehim will take his spot in the field. Miroslav Matsia, bronze in the 2012 European Championships and silver in 2014 in Swansea as well in the Europeans. There is Alessandro da Silva, double Paralympic champion in 16 and 20, double gold medalist in 2017 and 2019. He took silver here in the shot put. Petri Paitso of Finland, 11th in the shot put at these championships. Now he goes in the discus. And a man who's been around for quite a while, he turns 50 next month. It is Bill Marinkovic, silver medalist in 2015 and 2017 at the Worlds. He looks happy, doesn't he? Busting a few moves on Saturday morning as we move away and back to the women's shot put. F64. This just underway, of course. So we're only a few athletes into this. This is Samantha Hayesen of the United States. Well, Downing just talking about her a moment or two ago. She took bronze in the discus so far at these championships. 17 years of age in her major championship debut, and she's now looking for a second medal. Well, that's out around the 10-metre mark. Gets given the white flag for Hayesen. Her lifetime best is 11:07. She's an F44 athlete. This contains a mixture of 4 different categories: 42s, 44s, 63s, and 64. Yao Zhuan goes in this as well, the world champion. But this is 17-year-old Samantha Hayesen. 11:07 her lifetime best, 10:55 for her. She's in 4th position. Now this is what we just missed a moment or two ago, as you can see. Goodness, the Nwachukwu of Nigeria. That is huge. Now the Nigerian is in the F42 category. 9:52 is her lifetime best. The world record for that is already held by her from 2023 in March. We are now in July, and she has set a new world mark of 10.99, improving the mark she set by over 1.40 meters.
Goodness. Well, this competition's definitely hotting up already.
See how I just let that hang?
As you should. Another world record holder here. This is from taking the glory in Doha 8 years ago. Yao Zhuan. A major effort beyond 10 meters. 13:14 is that world record I was mentioning.
Well, that looked to be huge. She's come in with a season's best of 10.68, but sometimes season's bests can be deceiving because athletes have either competed early in the season and gotten injured, or they just have had only one competition and not quite had the preparation. So to deliver that in the first round, it sends a huge message to the rest of the competitors.
Well, that is definitely the lead for her. So remember, we can have world records down the field because this is a 4-category event, and they're considered close enough that they can be paired together. There was a time when categories that were a bit further away from each other were put together and it would be decided by points on a coefficient. I can tell you, by the way, yeah, that's 11.85, so Yao is into the lead. This is Oduwaye of Great Britain, and that is beyond 10 meters as well. That's a proper effort, I have to say. Now, she's an 11.02 thrower this year. That's a lifetime best. And her global championship debut.
You can actually see through her necklace just the force she's generating as she spins, because that necklace kept on spinning.
Well, 10.69, that puts her up into the bronze medal position behind Yao and Nwachukwu. She's Welsh-based, trained by Josh Clark. She's with Cardiff and the Vale, and doubling up in the discus as well. Van der Merwe's first attempt, but I think we've got an update coming shortly about other events. So Van der Merwe of South Africa. Many will remember Fane, who was such a magnificent 100 meters campaigner through the teens.
It was a good point that you made about how the categories used to compete on a point system, and one of the reasons they did away with that was because obviously it's a statistical formula, but the statistical formula depends on the size of your N value, your sample group, and if it's not big enough, then there can be concerns it's not quite fair.
Van der Merwe in a spot. You'll notice Nouchet has thrown a European record for France. This is Vatunisolo for Fiji, who's a 7.83 thrower, and not anymore, she's not. That's a lifetime best. That's beyond 8 meters. Top 8, by the way, get to continue into the second half of the competition.
Just while we wait for Vatunisolo's distance there, the men's 800 metres T53 opening heat and second heat due to get underway at 9:30. The first 2 track events of the morning have now been cancelled, and it is through to a straight final in the evening session tomorrow.
So if you were tuning in for that, stay with us. We've still got lots of entertainment for you.
Did I say tomorrow? I meant this evening.
Today.
Straight through to an evening session final, so there will be no heats. It is straight through to the evening session final.
Yeah, so those T53 races that were starting in 15 minutes time are now, it will be a straight final tonight. Vatunisolo, that is a new Oceania record, by the way. Magnificent. Here's Edouard trying to do the same from Papua New Guinea. Well, their teams in para-athletics and global athletics full stop are growing all the time. I remember running into one of their coaches during the World Athletics Championships in Beijing whilst on the Great Wall. I don't think he was doing any coaching there at the time. They've obviously developed some very good coaches internally themselves, but they brought a few in. No, they brought a couple in from the UK, and Edward has thrown 7.52 there. Her lifetime best is 9.49, so she definitely has scope to improve. Lisa Martin Wagner for Germany. 9.06 is what she's thrown this year. And that's a serious effort too. Now that certainly looks to be beyond 9 meters. Those two marks are 8 and 10. What's obviously happened, by the way, with those races is that somebody must have got in late, and then suddenly they can send everybody else through to the final. Mere speculation. Now, Martin Wagner, 9.03. Well, that's so close to a lifetime best, only 3 centimeters away from it, but she goes into 7th position. Yao in the gold medal spot for now for China. And obviously what that means as well, and we know you have lots of field event fans who always say there should be more field events. Well, we've got over an hour of it for you and nothing else. Wat Shukwu, our leader for quite a long time. That world record in the opening round of 10.99. 9.52 is a previous world record set in Marrakesh back in March.
To add that much to your lifetime best, which was only just set this year, is incredible. And you know, people talk about fine margins and small gains all the time, and to do that, I mean, that's almost 10%. To put into context, that is humongous. And you can see she's putting so much effort into that shot. She's really, really having to fight hard to control her balance at the end on that one foot to make sure she doesn't accidentally foul it.
10.77. She stays in 2nd position. Yao remains out in front. Adewale in the bronze medal position for Great Britain. Next up, Raives de la Heras of Cuba. Well, she's this year a 9.40 thrower. Her lifetime best is 12.22. I know a lot of the time we can sort of concentrate on that. Obviously, it's a one-off effort. It's the best that's ever been achieved. So I do kind of feel at times when we mention these things, we're sort of subconsciously suggesting that they should be going out that way every time. Nothing like it. .984 in the opening round, 982 this time, consistent. And she stays in 6th position, and those are season's bests for her. Nouche, having had that magnificent European record in the opening round of 8.43, she's very well supported here, obviously. This being the morning after the national holiday, what we refer to in English as Bastille Day, but I kind of get the feeling isn't here. I think we're still waiting for some of the crowd to wake up. 8 meters 50 extends her European record. She stays in 9th. Well, Hayerson led early on. Championship debut. She's from Washington, D.C. Previously, she's been in basketball and softball, but found she loved athletics the best. Well, that's beyond 10 meters. Now, that's an unusual trajectory, just the way that it left her arm.
It was interesting, as you watch her warm up, you can see she's, well, in her case, she's using a little bit of spit, and she's just applying that to her neck, because when you throw a shot put, you can see how it rests there on her neck, and that's a very different motion from throwing a softball. And when you hold it there at your neck, it's actually more that you're throwing with your body as opposed to your arm. And this is a great example of just some beautiful footwork and just getting the velocity. And athletes will often do that. They'll pick two different shoes because they want each foot that actually plays a different job. One is the center of the spin, and the other one they want for grip.
11.07 she's thrown this year, which would nudge her up a bit. That's a throw of around 10 meters from Faustina Kowalska of Poland, who again are one of the biggest squads here. And they were fine hosts last time out at the European Championships. It's just a shame due to COVID. The stadium had to be closed. I would have loved to have seen what kind of a crowd they'd have got for it. Remember being at the World Indoors in Sopot in 2014, and like it was a full stadium, about 10,000 every single session. They loved their athletics there.
She's decided she did not like that jump, and she's intentionally fouled. That's the judge there just holding that red flag up.
Well, she has got a silver in the discus already at these championships, so she's enjoying herself anyway. As we move along to Israel, the leader at 11.85 with her first. That one, though, not as far, just past that 10-metre mark for Juan. Gold medalist in 2015 and 2019. This is going back to highest and talking about those shoes from before you mentioned.
Well, often this is a lower leg impairment as well, which means that perhaps you find it easier. You want to pick a shoe that fits for your leg. So if you have a single leg amputation, or if you have, sometimes if you're an F44, it's due to what we would usually call club foot, and you just need a different type of support for that foot. And again, this is about maximizing your body and what it can do.
Well, talking about maximising, that's what Funme Oduweye was trying to do then, but that is a foul.
A lot of amputee athletes will try and make friends with another amputee athlete where you have opposite feet that don't match and the same size, because that way you can each buy a pair of shoes and then just swap, because for whatever reason, shoe companies won't let you buy just one shoe.
Sounds like me pinching my son's shoes after he's grown out of them. It's a good idea, though. Good idea indeed.
I'll tell you, she's also a basketballer with the Cardiff Met Archers, so a varied sporting career already.
I would not want to be boxed out by Funmi, I can tell you that.
Yanni Vandermeer in 10th position, so she's got some work to do. 8.12 with her opener, and that's not too dissimilar. Now she needs to get up into that top 8, so she needs to find herself another 50 centimetres.
She has really good trajectory, release point on that one. You can see she gets a lot of height. Some of the other women have been throwing quite flat. But again, it's not just about the trajectory. You need to get a lot of power behind that.
Well, Vandermeer has improved, 8.53, but she stays in 9th position now, outside those top 8 places. So she still has a little bit of work to do. You can see she's only 9 centimetres short of this lady here, Vatnasola. Now, it was a new Oceania record from Vatnasola last time out with 8.62. She'll be hoping for a little bit more with this one. F42 athlete, lifetime best of 7.83 coming into this. So she's added around 80 centimetres to that already with her first throw.
That would be really interesting. We have had speed readings for some of the runners. I would love to see a speed reading on her arm, because you have to get velocity behind the shot put before you release it if you want it to go far. And sometimes we underappreciate actually how explosive and fast throwers are.
Well, she's improved that Oceania record as Vatnasola by 17 centimetres. So new area record remains in 8th position. Regina Edward of Papua New Guinea, 7.52 with her opener. She does have a lifetime best of 9:49. That would be good enough to lift her up into 7th position.
And actually, I forgot to mention at the start, just to put it in context, the women in this event, F64 shot put, are throwing a 4-kilogram shot, which is the same weight as the Olympic women would throw.
Regina Edwards showing improvement from her opener. 8:09. She stays in 11th position, but she has improved on her opening throw by 57 centimetres. Martine Wagner of Germany, the last of the athletes to go with their second throw, in 7th position. Her lifetime best set this year of 9:06. Her opener was only 3 centimetres shy of that.
You can see there she's just gone back to her coach just to take a little bit of advice. Something about that throw she wasn't quite happy with. And sometimes in a field event, all it takes is just that one cue from your coach, that thing you've been working on, just to resettle, take a breath, and then let that throw you've been working on all year come out.
That was at 8:51. We're just going to head back to the men's discus throw F11. This is the complete visual impairment category. And this is Madi Olad of Iran, who is set to go. And that is out near the 40-metre mark. 45.15. The man has won gold in the shot put here already. Really putting everything into that. It's quite an amazing event when you have someone who has complete visual impairment, who can keep their balance, who can stay within the circle and can throw a discus like that. He's won the shot put, his first throw in this event for the reigning shot put champion, Madi Olad. 39.14, he leads after the first round.
We just have a shot there right now of the wind reading for the discus, and throwing a discus, you actually quite like to have a strong wind in your face, and so hopefully they're very happy with these conditions.
Dallas Harris of Cuba, as we head back to the women's shot put F64 final. Season best with her opener of 9.84. So she's in 6th position. This is her 3rd round throw. Well, that's out there around the 10-metre mark. So 9.84, the white flag is given. A season best of 9.84. 58 years of age. Bronze medal back in 2004 in Athens. Her lifetime best is 12.22. Her season best she's beaten was 9.40 heading into this. She's taken that up to 9.84. And this one, over the 10-metre mark for sure. 10.03. She moves up a place into 6th position. The lady who's been around on the circuit for quite a long time. Now here's Alexandra Nochet. We've seen the masks for the French lady. There's loads of support. You can hear it in the background. She's in 10th position. Area record, European record with her 2nd throw of 8.50. So she's risen to the occasion. This throw number 3, she needs to get herself up into 8th position, and she may well have done it. There will be throwers still to go, but it looks like she's got herself up into that top 8. 8.56 was her lifetime best coming into this. She's had to go past it, and she has by some distance. 8.89. It lifts her up into 8th position, a new European record for Nochet.
That was huge to deliver that on your third round, knowing if you don't get a big win here, you're not making the final in front of your home crowd with pressure. That was how you rise to the occasion.
Well, this lady Harrison wasn't even born when Dennis Harris was competing in Athens.
She's still a proud representative of the Girl Scouts as well in Washington, D.C. as Harrison on her championship debut, and she is really excelling. And, well, my word, haven't we seen this from the United States of late? So many new names, particularly this year it feels, have come in and have impressed astoundingly.
It's funny, we have so many rules, don't we, around age and what we can do physically, and around disability and what we can do physically. And right here in that shot put, I feel like all those rules are being broken.
Kowalska was no improvement that time around for the current bronze medalist, and neither will be for Kowalska, who has just stepped out, gets the red flag. No need for it to be measured even. That was not 10 meters. Her first throw was beyond the furthest line, so out she steps, and the throw will be nullified. A little glance, a little look. She knows that there's better delivered, so foot on the step, red flag. No
it's a great shot there, too, of the prosthetic leg she chooses to sprint in. The thing with artificial legs is that the properties are set. So if you want to have a leg to run, and you want to have a leg to throw in, you essentially have to build two different legs, unlike a human foot, which can adapt to any situation.
Well, Yao Juan, who is in first position, who's an F44 athlete, 11.85 season best with her first. She doesn't improve with that one. Slightly down, so she'll stay in first position. Samantha Harrison, I talked about youth and the fact that she wasn't born when Stella Harris had won her medal back in Athens in 2004. Kotlovska as well. Youth experience, like in the commentary box with Will Downing having the experience, and myself and Steph with the youth. Well, that one's out over the 10-metre mark. Got away was 10.69 with her opener. A foul with a second. And I was not too sure whether they were going to mark that one either. Let's just have a look at this. Nope, she's gone outside, so that's a foul. You saw her left foot there just going up on the edge and over the circle. So that's a foul. Two on her way. She will go through though, because she's in fourth position with that 10.69 with the opening throw, and it shows you how important it is to get a mark in those first three.
It shows you, yes, how important it is to get a mark, but also just the challenges and how difficult this event is to spin with the weight of that shot on your shoulder, and also to maintain your balance while giving it everything you have. It is a very difficult athletic skill, and we normally think about people moving in a straight line. To spin and move on a circle is something completely different.
There's a little thing that they are doing here in the stadium on the big screen, which they're calling Para-Amor. Get it? Basically, it's like the bongo drum thing. But I see Libby Breen is in the crowd after her very successful week, and watching the early action and supporting her British colleagues here out of Hawaii, currently in fourth, Van der Merwe remaining in 10th spot. And Fatina Solo, remember, she's had 2 Oceania records so far, so can she improve on the 8.79 here? Maybe, just maybe. This is a lovely venue. It's used as a League Dirt stadium now for Paris FC. Paris University Club play here as well. Stade Francais used to play here a little bit, and I think Paris used to play here in the Super League.
Paris Saint-Germain in the Super League and Rugby League played here, yes, for a couple of years. And you talked there about the football team who plays here. The groundsman, I can tell you now, will be going apoplectic when it comes to fixing this surface for the new season starting next month.
8:59.
Divots and potholes in the ground from the discus, from the shot put especially. Well, the only saving grace that he does have, or she has, the groundsperson, is that they're down the end and they may well be off the playing surface.
Well, in some countries, the European football season starts next Sunday.
Have you ever spoken with an agronomist? Speak with an agronomist who looks after grass, and they will talk about grass all day and about the different types that you've got, and they absolutely love it.
That is just beyond the 8-metre mark from Edward, 8:09. So it's been a very versatile stadium this over the years. They've renovated the track, they've renovated a lot of the stadium here. So it's had football, it's had rugby union. And for a few seasons, I think they had rugby league here.
I actually saw the groundsman here out yesterday at lunch, and they were going around and they were mowing the lawn. And I guess actually it probably makes sense, because it's probably going to be quite hard for the judges to spot a mark on the grass if it's quite long. And as we've seen in so many of these events, those small centimeters really matter.
And another Oceania record, another continental record, 8:20 for Edward. She won't progress at this stage. She's had her 3 throws, but at least she leaves with 3 lifetime bests and 3 records for her continent.
Lisa Martin-Wagner of Germany. Steph, you competed here, didn't you?
I did compete here. I actually competed here in, I think, 2010 when they had the old track surface on.
Well, that makes 2 of us who've competed here.
What year did you compete in here?
1996 and 1997.
Oh, was that when Paris were playing in the Super? I remember watching that when I was in college.
You always did say I was your hero, Will. Now I know why.
I think Paris only played in that for a couple of seasons, didn't they?
2 seasons and then they disbanded.
Wagner, 8:06. But she will continue. She's in a position of strength right now. The other shot put final on right now, it's the F57, so that's a seated throw one where it takes a bit of time for the athletes to be manoeuvred in or out, so that will be going on for quite a while. And not only do we have the women's shot put F57, but we also have men's discus F11 as well. And this is De Silva, Alessandro De Silva, who is the world record holder and the championship record holder from taking gold in Dubai 4 years ago, and the world record set in the Grand Prix here last year. No throw in the opening round. Complete visual impairment. Let that sink in for a moment. And the fact that he's hurled that out perfectly right down the middle as an F11 athlete, way beyond 40 meters. This is a venue which has been very good to him. It is still being good to him. We've seen Matty Olad go out in the opening round to 39 meters 14. This is round 2. And that is definitively the lead for De Silva. He's gone beyond the furthest measurement.
I really wish when we had start lists that they would give heights as well. I'll just let you clean up that result.
Alessandro De Silva is in front, 43-64. Goes into the gold medal position, the defending champion. Olad second, and Alvaro Del Amocano in third. And Bill Morankovic, who's been around a very, very long time, has slipped down into 4th place because of that.
I wish that when we had start lists, particularly for the discus, they would list the heights of the athletes, because this is definitely an event where I guess not necessarily height matters, but the length of your levers, the length of your limbs. And again, it's another rotational event, but when you're holding the disc out from the center, your whole body is moving at the same speed, but because it's so far out, it has to travel faster. So by having a longer limb, you can actually inject that discus with much more speed.
Steph Reid trying to give us more research than what we've already done, so we'll leave that in the bank for next time as we head back to the shot put. It is Nouche. Now this is the first of the 4th round attempts, so Nouche finished in 8th position. She snuck in her second throw into 8th position and stayed there. So she took in place in that top 8, of course. We lost 3 who didn't go through out of the 11 that started. And Alexandra Nouchet, who was very well supported here today on her 4th attempt.
Nouchet did so well to jump from 10th to 8th to make that final. And I actually remember on my championship debut in Austin in 2006, I found myself in the exact same position, having 2 fouls in the long jump and having to nail a jump in the 3rd. And it is such a great learning process to see for yourself, can I deliver when it matters?
Well, she doesn't improve, she stays 8th, but she does have that European record. Martine Wagner, 9:03 with her first. Now she's an F44. Nouchet was an F63. There's a mixture of categories throughout this. There's 42s, there's 44s, 63s, and 64s. There are 4 different categories competing in the one event.
I was watching her have her conversation with her coach after the other round, and it looked like he was making a motion, asking her just to get a little bit more extension through her arms and just to whip that hip through, because again, you are really throwing with your body and throwing with that hip. And that's the great thing about having a coach. You can take direction, and there we go. 9:12, a bit of an improvement.
Lifetime best improvement. So 9.12. She stays in 7th position, but the key is that you are improving as you go along. Now here's the lady who competed way back in 2004 in Athens. Delateris is in 6th position, 10:03 thus far. That's a season best for her. This throw number 4 for the Cuban. So 5 events in the field in the morning session. "58 years of age." You can see there just the speed that she gets right to the edge of that marker there. If you do go outside the circle, then you will be fouled. 9.92, so no improvement on her 3rd. She stays in 6th position.
So this is the 3rd last day in Paris, and the 2 things we haven't had yet are a French gold medal and rain, and we have just had the rain. They've won 2 bronzes through Timothy Adolphe and Manon Geneste. So the door is open for more to come along. It's been a great atmosphere, despite the fact, and Kukowska, she hasn't been happy with the last 2 attempts. Always helps when the host nation does really well, no matter what the event is. Kukowska has a championship record to her name in the F64 of 10.53, so the 4 above her are all outside of the F64 classification. Oduwaye, well, she, like Livy Breen, will be well watched in Wales right now. That's beyond 10 metres again. So she too has had a couple of fouls. She gets the white flag this time. And 10.69 in the opening round. She is 14 centimetres off the medals right now. And Samantha Hayerson in 3rd for the United States. That's 10.15, and it won't improve.
Just to remind you, if you are just joining our coverage very quickly here, that we lost the men's 800 metres T53, Heat 1 and Heat 2. That's gone straight to a final in the evening session.
Just watching the technique there, and we saw it with Kotulaska as well. They've started their throws that they're ending on, well, I was going to say their good leg, but I hesitate to say the good leg because they're both good. But they're ending on their strong leg. And again, that's just showing how you can adapt your technique, because you have to really be able to balance yourself at the end of it. And that's very difficult to do on either, on a prosthesis.
Hayerson improving all the time. She's getting closer and closer to a lifetime best of knocking around 11 meters from earlier in the season. Obviously a very hot US Paralympic trials across very many categories. That's 10:58, but still really good consistency from her. Remember, Noelle Malkamaki on her debut from Illinois last night, the 22-year-old, with a world record in the F46 version of this. And needless to say, she got the gold. Actually, it was almost a metre beyond the previous world record, which has stood for 8 years. Here's some more Saturday morning goodness for you. Goodness and Nwachukwu of Nigeria. World record earlier. Well, hello. Now that world record mark in the opening round is 10:99. That throw is certainly around that range, if not better. Yao Juwan's in a different category. She leads at 11:85, but Nwachukwu has another world record. It is a stonking one. It is a whopping one. It's beyond 11 meters. She knows already how good it is. I can tell you, it is 11:64 for a new world record. She stays second, but that in her F42 division is a huge, huge world record.
And just to fully appreciate what we saw there, bear in mind that she is an F42. She's throwing predominantly off of one leg, and you can see the power. She literally jumps up. Look at the air she gets, and that is where all of that power is coming from.
The world record, her world record going into this morning was 2 meters shorter than that, 9:52. She has every reason to celebrate. Nigeria look well on the way to a medal here, and goodness, Nwachukwu. That's not goodness, that's greatness. And she's only 21 centimeters off the lead of Yao Juwan, who's the F44 record holder. They'll all wish that, certainly there's some who'll wish that they were all in their own separate categories, but it's a numbers thing, it's a schedule thing as well. Yao, by the way, no mark with her fourth attempt, while goodness and Nwachukwu was seems to be celebrating halfway around the stadium. Nouche's fifth attempt, 8:89 her best, which is a European record. 8:56 was her previous best coming into this. She's an F63. And they will obviously, Steph, group together athletes that are obviously in different classes, but are not universally apart, if you know what I mean.
So classification, it always is going to be a spectrum, and it's always going to be a question of how wide you make that spectrum. And as you say, there's a lot of reasons as for why groupings happen. Ideally, everybody would compete against someone with exactly the same impairment, but practically that's just not going to happen. And classification system is good. It's not perfect, but it's really, really good. And it comes down in the end, it's not a question of whether or not everyone is exactly the same, but whether or not it's close enough that we can consider it a fair competition.
Well, that's a very solid seventh round throw from our German competitor. Went out to 9:12 in round 4, a lifetime best. 6 centimeters added on to what had been done previously. From Lisa Martin Wagner, 8:83. That's still among the best throws of her career. And De La Harris for Cuba, who's got the Pan Ams to aim for later in the year in November in Santiago. And we're told the indications are there's going to be a full TV production for all the para events for that, for one of the first times ever. It might have been the case in Toronto as well. It was not the case in Lima, but it will be the case in Santiago. It's a very nice place, Santiago. Went there for a wedding 12 years ago, and there were World Cup qualification matches on that week, and there was a big tennis tournament on. Greg Rosetsky was staying in a hotel. So obviously that's 3 minutes in the lobby he'll never forget. What a nice guy, though. And Faith No More and Ugly Kid Joe were also staying in our hotel, went for a wedding. Anyway, I think we've got work to do now.
Well, there are 3 field events taking place. We still have the shot put F36 women's, and we also have long jump getting underway as well. But this is the first of the track events of the morning session. We did, of course, lose the 800 metres men's T53 opening 2 heats, which has gone straight to a final. But here we are with the 200 metres women's T11 opening round, heat 1 of 4. And there will be 4 to go in this opening heat. Wu Yijung of Taipei, 16 years of age, at her first major championship. Zhu Guhua took silver in 2012 in London, bronze in Rio in 2016, has taken a bronze in the long jump already at these championships. Teresa Gebert broke the championship record when she won gold in the 100 metres here, going for the 100, 200 metres double. And Regina Dumbo, 19 years of age, major championship debut. She was disqualified in the 400 metres. So that's how they line up. Lanes 1, 3, 5 and 7. This, of course, a complete visual impairment category, and the reason they line up with just 4 in the race is because they must run with a guide. And Steph Reed, it takes a bit of time for the guide to get them into position here. So just talk us through what exactly happens with these races.
So the starting official has just given the on your mark command, but it's now the job of the guide to orient each athlete and, well, essentially be their eyes for them, because this is a T11 event, which means that there is no vision. And so everyone has a different system. Some of the athletes like to feel their blocks just so they know where they are in space. We just saw Zhao there. The reason she's pointing her arms forward like that is just to orient herself in terms of the direction that she's going to go. And so it takes a bit of time, but it has to be done properly. And so the judges know that in this instance, they're a little bit more lenient on the amount of time available.
Well, Zhu has a lifetime best of 24.99, and Gilbert a lifetime best of 24.97 in lane 3 and 5 respectively. And they do get away, and it is Gilbert who has got away the quickest of all. She is absolutely flying around the outside. It's just going to be the first place that goes through to the semi-finals, and then after that, the next 4 will advance through to the semi-final stage. It is Jerusa Gebert who's going to cruise across the line at a time of 27.14. Regina Dumbo taking second. On the inside is Wu Yijung and Zhu Guhua, who I can only suspect might have an injury, has finished in 4th place. But Jerusa Gebert did it pretty easy indeed. There is Zhu, who got off to a slow start and finished slow as well, so there may be a slight issue there, but there was no issue for that lady and her guide, Gabrielle Dos Santos. They cruised through to the semi-final stage, and she looks to make it a 100-200 double at these championships.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused on that one as I was watching Zhao. I thought, was there a callback? Has something happened? But I think, and I can only guess at this stage, what happens is if you, look, a lot of these women have done a lot of events already and they're quite tired. So if you come into this event and you're not quite feeling it, if you pull out for a medical reason, the issue is that you then cannot, if you just don't start, you then cannot compete in any other event for the rest. So perhaps what they're doing is she showed up to the event and she's completed it. So if she's entered in other events in later in the week, maybe the Universal Relay, it still allows her to start.
Yeah, it's a fair point. So Jerusa Gebert continues her quest for a double at these championships, and she is looking pretty good for it as well. 27.13 she goes through, and then it will be the next 4 fastest after the 4 semi-finals or 4 heats are completed to see who goes through to the semi-final stage. A slight headwind there, nothing too much to talk about. Gebert goes through in 1st place.
Which reminds me, Madison Rosario went out at the 5,000 final quite early and then didn't start the following morning. And so if it's not injury-related thing, if it was something else, then that's her out for the rest of the week. And we haven't seen her for the rest of the week. Maybe it is illness, maybe it's a technical issue. I mean, she's a wheelchair athlete, so maybe it's a technical thing with her chariot.
Right, yeah, so just to clarify, Madison wasn't disqualified for not finishing the 5,000. She pulled out, but because she didn't start for the, I think it was the 1,500, she then couldn't start for anything else during the week.
So this is Martin Wagner. Lisa Martin Wagner. 9:12 in round 4. Lifetime best. Can she add to it? Well, maybe. That's around the 9-meter mark. That is very tasty. Well, she's had largely the perfect morning. She also has played American football in Germany for the Bielefeld Bulldogs around the Ruhr region. 8.89, that's a lovely set of marks, and she's in 7th spot. And she's played quarterback, actually. That's a busy time of it. Yeah. So here's Raives de la Eras of Cuba. Well, 10.03 is the season's best. And, well, it's not going to be improvement for her, but she finishes in 6th place for Cuba, and she's about 80 centimeters away from the medals.
So we'll leave the women's shot put F64 final imminently, and we'll head back to the track as the sun comes out. In the morning we haven't had the sun, and all of a sudden, just as we went back, it was like the rays of brightness decided to come out for this second heat in the women's 200 metres T11 complete visual impairment category. There it is. Doesn't that look nice? Little rainbow lights coming off to the side there. We opted not to put the umbrella up. Good.
This is the T11 women's 200 metres T11. And there's due to be 4 to start this, except there isn't. Well, there are 4 starting it, but that's including the guides, because we've had a little curiosity coming, which will become very obvious straight away. So in lane 5 for Uzbekistan, the new long jump world champion Asila Mirza-Yurova and her guide Abduvokid Mirza-Yurov. So I'm going to wager brother and sister. And for Angola in lane 7, Emiloid Kasang and her guide Jose Haipapa. So now we were due to have 4 start this race, 4 athletes. Instead we only have 2. Lorena Salvatini, should I say, of Brazil, silver in the long jump, does not start. Merve Kajiran of Turkey is being disqualified. Now, she was on a yellow card going into this, and she's been disqualified under Rule 616.1, which is to do with competition equipment. So that, in this case, would be tethers and IMAS. So there's been a compliance issue, and she's picked up a second yellow card, and she has been disqualified from the competition. So it's only the first one and the next 4 across all of the 4 heats to advance to the semi-final. And we have 2 athletes in this. And so it's kind of a coin toss between these two. Who goes through? I should tell you, Kasang has gone into this with a yellow card from earlier in the week as well. So it's just as well she had everything right. So it's Mirza Yurova 5, Kasang 7. We are underway in this second heat of the women's 200 meters T11. And it's Mirza Yurova who's got off really well. Kasang doing her best to keep up, but she will not. Mirza Yurova is in control here for Uzbekistan. 26.82 her lifetime best from this year. They don't need to worry about very much. She is going to win. Oh my word, the guy nearly went first. I think Mirza Yurova got away with it. 26.13. And I don't know if there was just a little loss of concentration because they had such a big lead. But Mirza Yurova just got there first. I think she did anyway. Visually she seemed to. But it was her against Kasang. And for now, Mirza Yurova is the winner. 26.11, a lifetime best.
As an athlete, you have to be prepared for anything. And obviously that heat and the dynamics in it change very quickly. I suspect Salvatini didn't start because we did see her take quite a hard fall in the 100-meter final, which makes sense. But you're right, in terms of the yellow cards, we actually have had a few athletes that have come in carrying yellow cards, and it's not that we saw any starting issues in previous races, but there are a lot of rules surrounding the equipment, and it is the athlete's responsibility to show up to the call room on time with the correct equipment, and if they don't do that, they are issued a yellow card.
So Mirza Yurova wins, lifetime best 26.11, Kasang in second 28.52. Should also point out, Mirza Yurova, it's a third major championship. That was her first ever championship race. And obviously, they'll review that finish was okay. And let's just say in terms of that heat, because you already lost 2, let's hope that result was okay. Men's long jump T37 is the latest field event to get us rolling, and we have had some week in the long jump lane.
Indeed we have. It's been absolutely phenomenal. Some of the things we've seen, the jumps from Marcus Rame yesterday on day 7 were something to behold as well, right in front of us here at this main stand. Samson Apio went in the 100 metres and 200 metres in Dubai 4 years ago. This time he goes in the long jump. Jesse Zezu, Canadian record set this season. Vladislav Zarobenyi, the European and Paralympic champion, took bronze in 2019. Brian Lino Imbelezieri of Argentina was silver in Tokyo. Nikolai Gulbrandsen of Norway, lifetime best of 5:04 for the 18-year-old. First major championships, and he looks nervous. Konstantinos Kamaras of Greece finished 6th in Tokyo. Matus Evangelista of Brazil, lifetime 6:53 best. Bronze medalist back in 2020, silver medalist in 2016 in his home Paralympics. Also a silver medalist in 2017 and 19, looking to go one better. Victorious Penteras of Cyprus, lifetime best of 5:83, season best of 5:65. Barney Coral of Great Britain is next up, the former world junior champion, 23 years of age. First major championship was back at the Europeans in 21. Mateusz Oczarek of Poland, silver in the Europeans in Berlin in 2018. And Valentin Bertrand of France, 8th back in 2020 in Tokyo. What a round of applause he gets. He was 5th in the last Worlds in Dubai back in 2019. Later this month, he'll turn 28 years of age in exactly 13 days' time. So they're set to go in the men's long jump T37. Bergeron, the home favourite, 11 to go. All getting 3 jumps first up, then we'll narrow the field down to 8. And we do have one more field event getting underway in the morning session. We had the women's shot put F57, women's shot put F64, the men's long jump T37 now, also the men's discus throw F11, complete visual impairment is underway. And we have the women's shot put F35, which gets underway just after 11 o'clock local time, so an hour or so from now. Cyril Benyi, European and Paralympic champion, heads out towards the runway as we drift away and head back to the shot put.
Now remember, we've had 2 of these competitions on. This is F64, which is in the leg categories, and this woman has dominated all the way through. The reigning champion, the championship record holder, Yao Xuan of China. And the curious thing about this is she's mainly had misses in this competition, but her opening round attempt of 11.85, basically she could have just found a deck chair and put her feet up for the rest of the day, because nobody's beaten that. A few have come close to it. A brilliant effort right at the start of this competition for Yao Xuan. 11.85, and that winning her the gold. Only one mark after that. Yao Xuan takes it. That was, by the way, the only mark of hers that was longer than what we saw from Goodness Wachukwu, a world record in her category of F42 of 11.64, and boy did she celebrate. Samantha Hayesen gets the bronze for the United States, and Funmi Olawaye gets the 4th place for Great Britain on her championship debut. For Hayesen and Wachukwu and Yao Xuan, in ascending order, are medalists.
So from one world champion in Yao Xuan in the shot put, we'll head to the track shortly for the 3rd heat in the women's 200 metres T11. We'll see another Chinese world champion in Lu Guqing in lane 5 with the red shorts and the white vest. World record and championship record holder. She's the world, Paralympic and Asian Para Games champion. Silver already at these championships. Leah Beale, Quintana, won gold in 2018. That is a lovely face mask she has on. She was actually born in Australia, the 27-year-old. Now lives in Burgos in Spain. Moko, 26.91 her season and lifetime best for the Angolan. Here is Lu Guqing, silver in the 100 already, silver in 2016, gold in 2020, gold in 2019 in the World Championships as well. And Yana Salcido of Colombia, her first major championships for the 19-year-old. She has been competing outstandingly well thus far. So fastest goes through to the semi-finals. This is heat 3 of 4. After the 4th heat, the 4 best qualifying times beside the winners will also qualify through to the semi-final stage. Bill Quintana in lane 1, Moko in lane 3. Lu, the reigning world champion and Paralympic champion, will go from lane 5, and Salcido of Colombia in lane 7. Now, we talked about the equipment and the possibility of disqualification and making sure that you have everything in place. That gives you an example there of how to set and get yourself ready for the actual race itself. Everyone in position except for Luku Qing. Her guide Shen Yang Min is just getting himself organised, taking his time because there's no need to rush. Get themselves in position, and if there's a problem, they will be required to stand up, but they are absolutely fine to go. And they do get away at the first time of asking, and Lu is very fast already up on the inside shoulder of Salcedo, who is in lane 7, and Luku Qing, as she rounds that bend and straightens up after the turn, is around 10 metres in front. She's cruising down that main street, looking real good. Her guide actually had a good look over his shoulder there at that 50-metre mark to see where they were. He's loosened off. Lu has just got across the line first. That was very tight indeed. The guide has to send the athlete across the line first. I'd suspect that that was a legal finish there, but it was very, very tight indeed. Well, that's 2 races in a row where we've seen the guides not make it obvious that the athlete has gone across first, but season best, 25.63 for Lu. Takes it in first, and also a lifetime best for Salcedo, the Colombian, who's competing very well at these championships.
Yeah, I do wonder if maybe the guy just got caught off guard because they were going so slow at the end, and I suspect that is because Liu has done so many races already. One of the nuances of this race in the women's T11 is that because only 4 athletes can be in each heat, they have to go through a lot of rounds. And Liu did amazing in the 100 meters. She finished second, but she has a lot of running in her legs. So I suspect Liu and her guide Chen, their plan was to go out hard as they did, and then shut it down as they were coming down the straight. You could see that her guide was looking around, just double checking, triple checking, really making sure that nobody was going to sneak by at the end. And that is one of the important things in these championships, particularly for the visually impaired classes who have to run so many rounds. You have to really invest in your rest and recovery and be able to come back every day and repeat the same performance. And in some ways, I think that possibly is one of the best perks of being a professional athlete, in that you can legitimately classify napping as part of work.
It's true. Recovery is just as important as competition. And Luku Qing now has a chance to recover. With the sun out here at the Stade Charlotte, she goes through with the season best. Salcedo qualifies with a lifetime best due to the logistics of these 4 heats with dropouts. So Salcedo, despite another heat being in front of us, has qualified through to the semi-final stage. Lifetime best for Bill Quintana, despite finishing in 4th position.
The long jump continues. T37, this is Matthias Evangelista. And Pellizzeri of Argentina setting the early standard here. Evangelista, 6:53 man, which would certainly make him competitive in terms of the medals. Even this year he's gone out to 6:20, which would be good enough for second spot. So as long as he gets the board right, gets that kind of range, and he is definitely satisfied with it, that should get him up towards the medals. This is coordination impairment. This is the nominally second least restrictive of the separate categories.
In the men's T37, it's a balance and coordination impairment that is predominantly on one side of the body. So if you think about that in the context of long jumping, what you want is a really smooth runway ahead of the takeoff. And when you're constantly having to make minor adjustments because perhaps one side is stronger than the other, it just gives you a little bit of insight into the kind of work these athletes have to do to be as fast as they are.
Up into the silver medal position, 5:83, and only Impellizzeri with that America's record ahead of him. 6:44 was Impellizzeri's best. I should tell you, that championship record, he's only 2 centimeters off it, belonging to Zhang Guangzhou from London in 2017. Cracking crowd. Pentaras for Cyprus, seeking the first 6-meter jump of his career. Oh, he's used the board really well there. He's got out well, heading towards 6 meters. 5:53 is bronze right now for Samson Apeo of Kenya.
He also used the crowd really well. Just before he started jumping, he turned to the crowd to get what we call the clap going, and they were all too excited to get involved. And do you know what? Not every athlete likes it. Some athletes will actually stand on the runway and ask for silence, but I always loved it, and I really do think it imparts an extra burst of adrenaline and can really give you those distances that you don't necessarily see in training.
Pentaras has gone up into the bronze medal position. 5 meters, 58. I do remember Blanka Vlasic, who was world high jump champion, who came really close to breaking the world record. It's a still morning. The crowd would start clapping and she'd tell them to stop, and then she'd start the clap again because she wanted it done to her rhythm.
Well, I do find you can actually start changing your stride pattern to match the crowd, and that's a great way to conduct the crowd and make them work for you to get that extra distance.
Barney Coral of Great Britain. Oh, that's a super effort. Well, he's 5:73 this season. That would definitely put him in contention for medals the way things currently stand. And he has certainly opened up really well. He's with Charnwood AC, same club as Karim Chan, who finished 4th in that long jump. Aston Moore is coach.
Aston Moore MBE as of last year. That's great. The last time that we were watching Barney Coral jump at championships, he did have just that heart-wrenching experience of 3 fouls and unfortunately to make the final. So for him to make his mark on this competition already with a valid jump is fantastic.
Coral, 5:66. We're going to step back in time slightly. Brian Impellizzeri of Argentina, his opening round attempt, well beyond 6 meters. And that, the lead for Argentina.
You can see he generates great speed on the runway because he has such great rhythm, and one of the marks of a great long jumper is that the transition from sprinting to the takeoff is almost imperceptible because you're just carrying so much of that speed and force with you.
6:56, an America's record, and that is 2 centimeters off the championship record.
This taking us the opposite way to what the athletes will run, starting at the long jump and around past the 100-meter mark, and this the 200-meter mark on the far side of the track, where the women's 200 meters T11 complete visual impairment does continue.
And we have 4 going in this. And just an update from previous heats, all of the winners are okay, which is good news. So in lane 1, in what is now Mauritius's best ever Para-Athletics Championship. First ever medal last night through Naomi Alphonse. This is Julia Sean and her guide Loic Bugarate. T11 complete visual impairment guides are mandatory. Silver medalist this week in the 400 meters for Namibia, Lala Ishatile and her guide Sem Shimanda. In lane 5 for Brazil, successfully retaining her 400 meters world title this week, Talita Simplicio and her guide Felipe Veloso. And in lane 7 for Spain, the European silver medalist, 100 meters, bronze in the 2 in Bydgoszcz 2 years ago, Alba Garcia and her guide Diego Folgado. And she's still only 21.
The women's 200 meters T11. The first place will move to the semi-final, and the 4 next.
Ashaun in 1, Ishatile in 3, Simplicio in 5, and Garcia in 7. Only the winner definitely through, plus the next 4 fastest. And as this is the last heat of 4, we will definitively know who they are by the end of it. 29.26 the target, and it is Regina Dumbo of Angola and Kasang of Angola who are hanging on. Ashaun 1, Ishatile 3, Simplicio 5, who is unmissable, and Garcia in lane 7. So they're away at the first time of asking. Nice start from Simplicio, the 400 champion. Nice strong start in 5 by her, and Garcia as well in 7. As they straighten up, there's not really much between these three. Chantilly, Simplicio, Garcia, as you view from the right. But it's Simplicio coming down the middle, showing her continuing class. It was silver in the 200 in the last Worlds in Dubai. Simplicio wins it, Ishatile second, Garcia third, 25.72, and those top 3 will all go through. They are fast enough, they knew what they needed to do. They didn't necessarily need to win. But Ishatile and Garcia were comfortable, and Simplicio even more so, because she's won the heat. And actually, Simplicio with the second fastest time overall. She wasn't taking it easy.
Well, I suspected that Simplicio would do quite well. We did see her already take the 400-meter title this week, and she was third in the 100, so she definitely has a blend of both speed and endurance, and that looked to be quite a straightforward qualification for her, especially considering she already has so much running in her legs. And again, we saw the guy doing a great job. They were slowing down and just really making sure to go in front. And part of the reason, particularly in this event, that's so important is just the way that the photo timing cameras are done. So for the 100, 200, and 400, the software, it recognizes the lane and therefore the athlete that it recognizes the lane that each athlete is in, and the camera, it's tied to the starting gun and it stops, and so it has to make sure that it's capturing the athlete's torso first, not the guide.
Simplicio, Ishatile, Garcia are all through to the final. Julie Assaun does not make it, but it's another bit of experience for her. And again, what a buoyant week for Mauritius it has been. Their first ever para-athletics medal, either at a World Championships or at a Paralympic Games, and that's proper athletics history.
So in the foreground we see the long jump. Men's T37, Jessie Zeziu, the Canadian record holder, set to head out for his second as his coach watches on.
That's his coach, Brett Lemley, who actually was my very first long jump coach back in Canada.
What a plan. Zezizu set that Canadian record this season of 5:48. And that is pretty good indeed, as long as it's a white flag. It's not, it's a red flag, hence him going so far. But be interesting to see where he was on the board, because if he gets that consistency going on the board with his run, then he looks like he can go a lot further than what that Canadian record and lifetime best is.
Now that unfortunately does look, well, we know it is a foul. You can see his foot clearly on the plasticine, and the judges will recognize that. So what that now means for Jessiu is that unfortunately with that foul, he's currently still sitting in 9th place going into the 3rd round, and he needs to be in 8th. And this is where actually it's great that Brett Lumley is his coach, because what I remember from him, Brett Lumley is the kind of coach who never gets stressed out. So what he'll do is you could see that Jesse was a little bit disappointed, a bit frustrated with himself, and that's where the coach comes in and just kind of really resettles you. And that's why we were such a great match back then, because I tended to be quite intense and he was always there. Just, we could bring it back a bit, Steph. This isn't a disaster.
Well, that was interesting, because if he hadn't been given a legal jump there, it was only a little bit back, he would have been well into that top 8. So he's certainly got the ability to get up there into that top 4 or 5. Sarah Benny goes, the European and Paralympic champion, and that is out around that 6 metre mark. His opening jump was a foul, so he is in a bit of a pressure situation himself. That though, much better for the Ukrainian.
That was a fantastic jump, and what he's done there now is he's just completely changed the order in terms of those athletes that are looking to get into those top 8, and that puts even more pressure now on Jesse Zezou from Canada, but also for Kamaras from Greece. They've just been pushed down, and they've got one more jump to get back into that top 8.
Well, it puts Albania into second position. His season best before that, by the way, was 5.18. So he has gone a long way further. 6.02 in second position with that season best after his second jump. So here's the man who's leading with that new continental record. Empresario of Argentina, the silver medalist in Tokyo back in 2020. Well, that made a nice bang on the board. He's given the white flag. I always like it when you hear that noise there, because you know that he hasn't gone over the mark, and that was a decent enough jump, 6.56 with his opener, and this one looks like it might be even further. It's certainly around the same mark.
Now what I like about his jumping, you'll notice his takeoff position actually matches exactly the image on the necklace that he's carrying around his neck. I wonder if that was intentional and made especially for him.
Well, not too bad on the takeoff. He's actually got a few more centimetres to work with. Now, he was only 2 centimetres shy of the championship record with his opening jump. This one, there, look at that necklace that Steph Free's talking about, 6.60. So he's gone past the championship record of Shang Guangzhou from London in 2017. That was 6.58. He's beaten it by 2 centimetres in first place. Gulbrandsen in 11th position with his second jump. 4.77, a season best with his opener. He's just grabbing the back of his hamstring though. He looks like he might be in a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, it does look like he's rubbing his hamstring a little bit, and obviously if you have even a small pull in your hamstring, if you're trying to ask your body to sprint and jump at its limits, that's going to be tough. But what do you do? This is the World Championships, and you so badly want to compete, and sometimes you are having to ask those really difficult questions of yourself. If this was, just a training session or a small meet, then perhaps it's an easier decision to pull out, but this is what you've been working for all year. Well, the one thing he has done there has been excellent on the board, so he can at least be confident if he decides to carry on that is set. But he's having a conversation with his coach, and I don't lip read, and I also don't know Norwegian, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Well,
he's 18 years old. It's his championship debut, and we've seen a lot of championship debuts here for Norway. And the Kashafali effect is definitely working. Remember, he won 2 very speedy races at the Bislett Games, did Kashafali, which is always a magnificent meeting, full house. And his effect has given us what feels like the biggest Norwegian team that we've had at one of these championships.
Now you can see both on the runway there with his running style, but also what he does with his arms in the air. It's unique, and that's just part of the reason because he doesn't have quite as much movement or range in his left arm. And so often, that is what a lot of para-athletes do. You take the standard form rulebook, you throw it out, and you figure out something that works for you.
Kamaras, that was of Greece, 5:54. And Matthias Evangelista, this is the Paralympic bronze medalist. And right now, he is 3 centimeters off that same mark, being held by Valentin Bertrand. In Pelletieri with that championship record and the America's record of 6:60 leads Sharabelny, European champion for Ukraine, 6:02. Well, that home straight has been largely full all week. It was the national holiday yesterday. Evangelista, excellent 5:89 in the opening round, and Bertrand, who jumped very late, he was actually the last to go in that opening round, overtook him in 5:92. Evangelista is a very solid 6.5 meter man. He has gone out beyond 6 meters only just this season. That won't be an improvement for him. And at least he used the board well. Goes out to 5:74, but not quite as electric as he would have liked.
I wonder what it's like for all of the coaches. We can just see them all sitting back there as they watch their athletes and how they manage their emotions, and if they're eavesdropping on each other and just getting any tips and little hints.
Trying to maneuver his way up, Victoras Pentaris of Cyprus. 5:83 is his lifetime best, 5:65 season's best.
It's quite interesting as well. Pentaris with his opener was a plus 1.5 with the wind behind him. Kamaras, who we saw a moment or two ago, just 2 jumps back, negative 2.0. So it shows you how the wind is swirling around inside the stadium. It's negligible at the moment, but it does move around from time to time.
What's interesting is, well, I'll wait for Kacharis to jump.
Yeah, it's his second attempt.
What's interesting about the wind, I mean, it does have a huge effect in the long jump, because obviously a tailwind versus a headwind can give you extra speed and extra distance. But a few of the athletes have also been mentioning that the wind feels differently in different parts of the stadium. When we came down early one morning and we were speaking with Brent Lakatos, he said the wind felt differently to him in lane 6 versus in lane 1. And I have also noticed they've moved the wind flag, and it does different things depending on which side of the runway that it's on.
Well, it's interesting because on the final day of competition on Monday, we will have long jumps competing at the same time. So we'll have 2 pits being used simultaneously, because the medal ceremonies will be moving inside the stadium instead of having the rostrum outside the stadium. There's the windsock away to the right. You can see at the moment it's negligible. It does change from time to time. So the athletes, they do have time before they have to take their jump, and you will see some of them waiting, the more experienced ones, to make sure that the wind is in their favour when they jump. Barney Coral now, the former world junior champion, 23 years of age, second major championship after the Europeans in 2021. He's in 5th position, 5:66 with his opener, this number 2. Well, that's a red flag. Off the board, way over the mark. He does remain, though, in that 5th position. So at the moment, he's inside that top 8. There you can see how far he's going to cross.
And the thing about Barney Coral is he learned quite a bit on that debut, the Europeans, in Bydgoszcz 2 years ago, because he didn't register a mark. And here, most important thing you can do in the long jump, just get a mark in, 5:66. Because if you don't, and I know a few athletes personally this has happened to, they put extra pressure on themselves in round 2, and then they got that wrong, and then you've only got 1 attempt left. And if you miss that, you are out, no matter what.
It's interesting there to watch my former coach, Aston Moore, chat with Barney Coral. And the thing about Aston, each coach will have their own different way of talking to their athletes. he was always a man of relatively few words, and he chose them very, very carefully. And again, it just shows the importance of making sure the right thing is in your athlete's head at the right time. And again, Barney Coral's in the position of he has a mark registered, and he currently will get all 6 jumps. But that jump looked good, and Aston is trying to set him up right now so that he gets the reward for that kind of jump.
Optrick, silver medalist in Berlin back in 2018, the Europeans. It's currently in 8th position by the barest of margins. He's 3 centimeters ahead of Kamaris in 9th.
And actually, just in the background there, you could see Barney Coral adjusting his mark, so clearly he's had a conversation with Aston.
Well, the takeoff was fine. Distance-wise, similar to what he jumped in number 1. 5:36, so he stays, Optrick, in 8th position as the home favourite. Valentin Bertrand sets himself up on the runway. So Bertrand is in 3rd position at the moment.
He's just waiting for the pit to be re-raked, and currently there's an orange cone on the runway, and that's because it is an electronic measuring system done with cameras, and the camera will pick up any indentation in the sand, which is why the officials go to such lengths to make sure that pit is absolutely smooth.
France have won only 2 medals so far this week. They've both been bronzes. They'd like something extra from Bertrand here. 5:92 is best so far. It's in and around the same amount. But if it is beyond, it won't be a huge amount. It's only 10 centimeters off silver right now.
So we see Bertrand there just powering down, and what I love is the way he uses his right arm. You see he powers it around almost like in a whipping motion, and that just makes sure that you're carrying on that distance into the sand pit, and it's quite tough to do when you can only balance it with the one arm. You'll recognize his coach Guido there, the same coach to Fleur Young and also Marlene van Gansenwinkel, who is Fleur
sitting behind him,
cheering on her teammate from a different nation.
Well, the discus continues. Impellitteri leads. This is Alessandro da Silva, who now leads in the men's discus in the F11. And he's on his way to gold here. Very effective, solid efforts, apart from those 2 fouls, which, well, great delight for da Silva, and justifiably so. He's got 4 of those right down the line beyond 40.
We've spoken a bit just about what an amazing feat of athleticism it is for someone who has no visual reference because of the blindfold to be able to keep that awareness of where they are in space. And the best way that I can think of to describe it was anyone who's ever done yoga and you've been in a class and you're doing a balance pose and you're finding it a little bit easy, and then suddenly your instructor tells you to close your eyes, and all of a sudden you're wobbling and it gets really, really difficult. And it's just an example of how much we use our eyes for balance and proprioception.
Alessandro da Silva, the gold for Brazil, 45:30. Madi Olad, Asian record, silver for Iran, and Alvaro Delamo Cano gets the bronze for Spain.
We've seen the 200s, it's now time for the 100s. Semi-final number 1 of the women's 100 metres T12. World record and championship holder Amara Duran will go in heat number 2. Gold at the ASEAN Para Games in Cambodia recently in the 200 metres. Madi Arianti Putrini. Silver already in the 400 metres here in Paris 2023. Alejandra Perez Lopez, the season best in her heat. Twin sister Linda is the reigning Paralympic champion. Katrin Müller-Rutgart was 6th in the long jump. European champion in this event back in 2018. and 2 years before that in 16 as well. And Spain's Nagode Folgado Garcia, European champion, claims silver in the 200 metres at the same European Championships in Bydgoszcz. Season best in her heat. So the first will go through to the final. We will then have the next two best times after that also qualifying. Amara Duran goes in semi-final number 2. This the opener. Putrini goes in lane 1, Perez Lopez in lane 3, Mullarocca in 5, Folgado Garcia in lane 7. Well, it might be Mullarocca who has gone early. This could be trouble for the German. She chats with her guide, does Katerine Mullarocca. This is the medium visual impairment category. So you can opt to go with a guide or not, and it is the pair of them. It's actually the guide who has stood up as well. Yeah, you just see she fudged as she went there. You just saw a slight movement, and then the guide went as well, and they both went early. Steph Reed.
In the T11 to T13 category, this is one of the classes where using starting blocks is mandatory and the start information system is turned on. So this is not a visual judgment. They're simply going to look at the data from those pressure pads.
So it is a red card to Katerine Mullarocca. The German is out. So just watch on the right of the screen, in the middle there, you'll see the guide, because Mullarocca went on the far side. I think the front on shot gives us a better view of the athlete. Mullarocca, she slightly moved, and then her guide, Noel Philippe Fina, went as well, and the two of them are out of the semi-final of the women's 100 metres T12. Disappointment etched on the faces of both of them.
That is so hard to watch, and the thing is, you have to be still in those blocks. She didn't actually move or leave them, but it doesn't matter. If you put pressure onto the blocks, it is still called as a false start. So
Putri in 1, Perez Lopez in 3, and Folgado Garcia in 7. Well, they've been asked to now stand up. So this is a very nervy start to the first semi-final in the women's 100 metres T12. The starters asked them to stand. We've had a disqualification beforehand. Green card goes, so they're all fine. But Steph Reed, what were they thinking in this situation?
I mean, this is tough. I can feel the tension in it right now. We've seen the heartbreak. All of these athletes have had to set now. This is going to be their third time. And each time that tension and that adrenaline keeps on building, and they're just going to have to keep their cool and remember their process, and just remember this is just another start at this point. Nothing else has changed.
Yeah, it's a good talking point in sport when you talk about going through the processes to make sure that you get to that finishing point, and that's exactly what these athletes have done. They set, so Putri goes in 1, Perez Lopez in 3, Folgado Garcia in 7. Take 3, we get away with no problems at all, and getting away really well with Perez Lopez in lane 3. A season best time in her heat, but roaring down the outside. It's Folgado Garcia who's looking to get there. She's not going to do it. It's Perez Lopez who goes across in a time of 12.63 seconds to take that automatic qualification spot through to the final. Well, we got there at the third time of asking. We had a disqualification through Mullarocca. The athletes were then asked to stand the second time to reset. And on take number 3, away they went as Mullarocca still walks away from the track down the far end and through into the technical area and away to the changing rooms. And the start from Perez Lopez was very strong indeed.
She had a great start, and the thing is, with Muller-Ruttgart gone from that heat, it completely changed the dynamic. Muller-Ruttgart on paper would have been the one to go through and that single automatic qualifying time. So as an athlete, you're now suddenly aware, I have an excellent opportunity here. I can't think about what happened in that false start, and Perez Lopez certainly went out and took advantage of it and was still able to run her race and secure that spot in the final.
Yeah, Muller-Ruttgart had a season best ahead of the athletes, a lifetime best under 12 seconds, the only one of those disqualified, but Perez Lopez goes through in the first semi-final of the women's 100 metres T12.
Our long jump leader, Brian Impellizzeri for Argentina, championship record 660 with his second attempt. He really is showing exquisite form. 656 with his opening round attempt. Looking for something big again this time. He might just have produced it. It looks to be beyond 6 metres. It's a fair jump for Impellizzeri. This might just be a golden day for Argentina. And Brian Impellizzeri, championship record, America's record. Well, he looks in really good form. It's around the same mark. I thought at first maybe it might be slightly behind. Beginning to think, look at that hang time.
I mean, he is looking good, and his cycling action of his legs in the air is fantastic. And what I've just noticed too is just on his left of the pit, they've added a cone, an orange cone, round about the world record mark. And I wonder if that has been placed there as something for him to aim towards.
662 extends his championship and America's record. A serious effort for Impellizzeri. He's just going further and further.
As you can see there is an orange cone with a big R on it. Now in the field events, we've often seen a little flag with a world record marker, and I wonder if perhaps they've put that there just so he has sight of what he's aiming for.
This is Camarás in round 3. He's in 9th position. He's on 554, and if he adds 5 centimeters to it, he suddenly goes 6th. Pintaras, Opayo, Osarek are all surviving for now. 558, 558, 557, and Camarás 554. And he needs 558, basically. He doesn't get it, and Camarás is eliminated, as is, by the way, Jesse Sezu of Canada, who went out to 5:38, which wasn't enough. So, his day is done. Back to the track. Busy morning, not quite as busy as it was intending to be. We've had a few of the T53 heats earlier, which have been combined into a straight final, which will be in a future session later on this weekend. So next up, it is semi-final 2 of this women's 100 meters T12. It's the medium category of visual impairment, so a maximum of 5% vision basically. And in lane 1, Laha Mpinge, who's gone further in this than ever before. It's her championship debut. She was disqualified sadly in the 400. In lane 3, a championship debut as well for the 400 semi-finalist Lorraine Gomes of Brazil and her guide Fernando Martins. In lane 5, the ultimate champion, the 8-time Paralympic, the 12-time world, the 11-time Pan Am champion, the world record holder, the championship record holder, Omara Duran, and her guide, Yuniel Kindelan. And in lane 7 for Spain, the 2017 400 silver medalist and the European silver medalist in 2021, the former European champion, Melanie Berges, alongside her guide, Sergio Diaz. And Mpinge's guide, by the way, in lane 1 is Paulus Philippus. So Mpinge, Gomez, Duran, and Berges are the 4 in this. It's the winner to go through, plus the next 2 fastest overall. So right now, 13:06 is the target in terms of fastest losers times. Next fastest, Agore Folgado and Nimade Ariante Putri, the Southeast Asian Games champion from last month from Indonesia. They are the two who are hanging on. So Pinge in 1, Gomez in 3, Duran 5, Berges in 7. The winner definitely through. Away at the first time of asking. That was a nice start by Lorraine Gomez. But Amara Duran is well away, well in her stride, heading for the final. 11:74. Thank you and good night. Berges Gomez was pushing through for second position, but Amara Duran continues the form that continues to beat all comers. That's the season's best for her as well. It's rounded down to 11:73. And she was not going full tilt. Berges Gomez 12:72 will qualify. That was almost a second faster than the previous semi-final winning time.
Well, that was a much more straightforward start, and that was a very straightforward win for Amara Duran. And I mean, that is a sign of a great athlete. She has come to these championships and she has dropped season's bests across the board, and it shows that she's come here fit and ready to go and timed her peak well. And right there, we actually have another yellow card listed here, one for Lorraine Gomez, and you can see there we got a great shot of the tether that is holding the athletes together, and we don't know for sure why, but one of the reasons why athletes can get yellow cards is if they show up to the call room, which is where they go before this event, and their equipment isn't as it needs to be according to the rules. So in the case of this tether, a few of the rules are that the middle section there has to be 10 centimeters. The maximum length, including the loops, the blue loops that we see there, has to be 30 centimeters. And another rule is that the central part of the tether has to be a separate and distinct color from the rest of it. So if any of these things are not accurate, then the athlete receives a yellow card. They're given the opportunity to correct it, and if they can't, they cannot start.
In this event, Amara Duran writes all the rules. She's through. 11:73. Melanie Berges progresses as well. Gomez and Pinge depart.
So the field events continue. The women's shot put F57. This is Sophia Jalal. Lifetime best is 11:56. All 6 throws at the same time. This her first, and that is out near that record of hers. She holds that world record in the F57 category of 11:56. That's well over 11 meters. Oh, she's beaten it by 1 centimeter. 11:57 for Sophia Jalal, a new world record. She takes gold in the women's shot put F57. Zhu Mian, season best, 10:77, and Sophie, the bronze, with 10:51 for her.
I feel like she's taken a page from a certain pole vaulter's book, just increasing by 1 centimeter at a time that world record.
And that shows you how important the marking is from the judges and officials out there to make sure they get it absolutely spot on.
As we continue in the long jump. Actually, that reference to Mondo Duplantis, obviously all of the coaches, I know his parents are strongly involved in the coaching team in the pole vault, but they'll always do the filming themselves on the iPad. He'll come back and he'll have a look. And sometimes they put it online and it gets something like 5 or 6 million views.
Well, if you're going to learn from someone.
Learn from him. Barney Coral, 5th spot. That was heavy on the board, too much so, red flag. He's not happy with it, but isn't he fortunate? Isn't he wise to have got that first round marking of 5:66? So at least now okay, he gets further attempts. He misses out in rounds 2 and 3, but just make the next 3 count.
Yeah, the benefit of having that first round jump is that it gives you that freedom. And you can tell he's going for it. And part of the frustration is when you know you have that big jump in you, and yet because it's a foul, you're not getting the credit for it. And actually right now, if I can read Aston's body language, it looks like what he's telling him to do is on his, the problem isn't necessarily with his runway, it's just with snapping that final foot down, because if you let it float a little bit too long, then your stride floats, and that's what takes you over the board.
Ovčarek of Poland next, European bronze. Last time out on home soil in Bydgoszcz. Just a pity not in front of a home Polish crowd, because it was 2 years ago. Silver in Berlin in 2018. In that stadium by the old wall. They were due to demolish it. I meant to check to see if it's still standing or not.
It was just on the East Berlin side, wasn't it?
Yeah. The home of Tennis Borussia Berlin Football Club, which is not a name you forget easily. Ovčarek trying to make himself a name to remember, good heavens. That's not quite the landing he was hoping for, but he'll be somersaulting if he's moved up the board a bit. He's in 8th place right now, 5:57. Sounds like they're doing a request for Daniel Tavares at the moment, incidentally, but Ovčarek, it's beyond 5 meters.
Now, if you've never long jumped before, this landing and the somersault is a great way to understand just the kind of forces that you're having to deal with. From the moment that you take off, if you're not balanced, you're having to fight this rotation forward, and the reason you don't want to rotate forward is because it drops your feet down before your center of mass, and it's just losing distance. And that was a great, safe way to just get a little bit more control over that landing. And again, this is why when you're a long jumper, you literally have sand everywhere, in your clothes, in your shorts, in your bag, in your house, in your car, everywhere.
And a reminder, this is coordination impairment as well. 5:48. Stays in 8th position. He will continue on. Well, France need to pick me up. He's got one of the top long jump champions on his side. Valentin Bertrand, sans plan pour toi. He's gone deep, too deep, red flag. He got the big build up. He still has a big chance of moving up for France's first silver medal.
Now, right now, he's checking. It's not that he's arguing the call that it's a foul. He wants to know how close it was. That way he can make a bit of a decision as to, okay, do I need to physically move my runway back, or do I just need to adjust that final stride and snap that leg down a little bit quicker? But he's smiling because he knows he is jumping very well.
We saw him on the tram this morning, didn't we? He was getting the same tram in as us because he's in the same hotel. He looks very relaxed and very happy and just looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, it is so interesting to watch athletes outside of the context of their sport, because we often envision them as these really intense, really focused people, and some of them are, but equally some of them have this amazing ability just to switch it on and off.
He was with us regular people, just catching the tram. Steph Reid now a regular person.
This is, I would think, one of the most accessible sports that we work in, is it not?
Absolutely.
I actually took it as a compliment that you think I'm normal.
Well, questions can be asked sometimes, but you're not a bad person.
Further consulting with Guido Bonsen, the coach from the Netherlands, who was the one of the head coaches for a few years.
Now that's interesting. The windsock picking up into the faces of the athletes you see in the background there, who'll be competing shortly in the men's 100 metres T36. So it changed direction towards them. It changes away, and they're just about to get ready to go in that event. And the long jump does continue, and just moving the marks.
Yes, clearly Bertrand had a little chat with Guido, and they've decided that the best way to fix that foul is to move. So that he's moved both his starting mark, and this is now It's almost called what I would call a sighting mark. Sometimes the sighting mark is for the athlete so that they can see where they hit it halfway down the runway. Sometimes it's for the coach. They have a visual marker as to where the athlete is.
So when he was moving it with his fingers there, what sort of sections would he be moving it in, or is that just something particular for him?
Well, it looks like there actually is still a tape measure down, and I think that was just his way of making sure that it's quite accurate. Sometimes a tape measure isn't there, and you do have to use your fingers or your foot, but in that case, that makes it a lot more simple.
Well, I can confirm your eyesight is better than mine because I didn't even look for that. So the shot put, the final event on the field for the morning session. There are 7 to go in this, the F35 category. Coordination impairment. First up, Anna Nicholson from the northeast of England. 19 was her major championship debut in Dubai. She got into this with a sponge discus. She's an engineer for a car company. I won't say which one. Maria Pomazan, European and Paralympic champion. Klaudia Maliszewska of Poland, who took bronze in 2017, bronze in 2021 at her home European Games. She was a silver medalist in Berlin in 2018. Akhmedova of Uzbekistan. Bergallo of Argentina, who was 7th in 2020 at the Tokyo Paralympics, and Wang Jun from China, Paralympic champion in 2016, silver in 2015 and 17 at the World Championships, and Anna Luxeva of Czechia, bronze at the Paralympics in 2020, bronze in 18 at the Europeans, and silver in 21 at the Europeans in Big Gosh. And talking of Poland, here he is.
Yep. His 4th attempt as we go into the second half of the competition. So we've lost Kamaras and Zezu. And Ovčarek with an obvious step into the plasticine. Nikolai Gulbrandsen of Norway has gone as well. But a season's best for him, by the way, 477. And the reason you didn't see him jump in the past few minutes is he skipped his 3rd round attempt. Felt that he couldn't go on. He did pick up that knock, you remember, in the 2nd round. Bit of an injury, felt it was best not to continue. Ovčarek with the foul, stays in 8th spot in 5:57. If he adds 10 centimetres to that, suddenly he's in 5th place.
That is a great thing about the long jump. It can all change at any point in any round. And sometimes when you jump big in the 1st round, you find yourself kind of hoping the competition's going to finish really soon. But if somebody comes out with a big jump in the 6th round, then obviously that wipes anything out. And again, just speaking about the wins, even though anything over a +2 win wouldn't count for a world record, if it's within that competition, one athlete could have had a +5 win, and that would still count in terms of winning that particular competition. We have a shot there. This is actually a wind gauge, a very visual wind gauge that's hanging there for the athletes. So each athlete will get 1 minute during which they have to take their attempt. And if it is a particularly windy day, you might see an athlete standing there just staring at that windsock as it turns, waiting to get the most favorable wind possible.
Here's a Payo for Kenya. 5:58. And he just ended up towards the side, awkwardly. Remember, it is a coordination impairment category.
For me, it was the runway just as he was coming in. You're going to see a few stutter steps, and sometimes that's a sign that an athlete is looking to sight. But that's, you know, those, I know they are covered in rubber, but those grates on the side, they do hurt. I mean, jumping into a sand pit in general is probably not the most pleasant experience for anyone, but those grates at the side, that's what we do. We sacrifice for our art.
That was still a 5:24 mark, which was quite solid. And Pellizzeri leading championship record 6:62.
So this only track final of the morning session. 6 finals, 5 in the field. The last we just introduced a moment or two ago. This, the only track final. It sees James Turner, the world champion, world championship record holder and world record holder, and Deng Pai Cheng, the Paralympic champion, going as well. Rodrigo Pereira, 5th in long jump here at these Paris Paralympics World Championships, goes in lane 1. Roman Pavlik took gold back in 2008 in Beijing and bronze in 2012 in London. He's an experienced campaigner, will go in lane 2. Mokhtar Didane of Algeria competed in the long jump here already, 6th in that. The world record and championship record holder and the world champion, James Turner of Australia. Already won gold here in the 400 metres. He goes for the double now in the 100. Alexis Sebastian Chavez, he equalled his season best in his heat. Took bronze over the 400 behind Turner. It was also bronze in this event in 2020. Izat Turganov of Uzbekistan, long jump gold medalist. He looks to add another medal to his collection in the 100. Muhammad Ridzuan in lane 7 of Malaysia, gold medalist in this in 2016 in Rio. And Deng Pai Cheng of China, the Paralympic champion in Tokyo, will go from lane 8. So the two major champions to look out for, James Turner in lane 4, who's the world record and championship record holder, and Deng, who will go from lane 8, who's the Paralympic champion, setting a Paralympic record at the same time, winning that medal. There is Turner, the reigning champion, already with a gold here over 400 at these championships, and Deng in lane 8, the Paralympic champion. 3rd in his heat though, just nipping in to the final. Coordination impairment category, men's 100 metres T36 final. They get away. There was a slight bit of movement getting ready, but already away quick is Didan of Algeria. Turner's trying to get to him. James Turner's going to go past Didan. He's going to take the gold medal in a time of 11.85 seconds. Turner picks up, there's a fall in the background there as they went across the line, but it's James Turner who takes the gold. Falling over the line, the Brazilian there, is it? Pereira goes down. He did finish, but when he tried to slow down and come to a halt, he went over. But it's James Turner who picks up the gold. Didan with a silver medal in 11.99. He looked like he had it around the 70-metre mark. And Chavez of Argentina with a bronze. There's our silver medalist. Chavez a season best. Didan with an African record, 11.99, running under 12 seconds for the first time in his career. He smashed his lifetime best by 0.34 of a second. But there's James Turner, made it back-to-back gold medals in the World Championships. But Didan got away extremely quick. Chavez and Turner had work to do, but Turner came home so strong.
Yeah, in the end, it was Turner's speed, endurance that really won that race for him. Now, in this classification, it is optional whether or not you want to use those blocks. It's just a decision for the athlete if it's really going to enhance their acceleration. But you could see Turner, he probably came in knowing that perhaps Didan was going to get out. And if that is the case, what you have to do is just keep your head down like he did, keep sprinting, and have that trust in your back end speed. Now, we were just looking at the men's T37 long jump, and the difference between a T36 classification and a T37 classification, they're both balance impairment classification, but T37 is in one side of the body, and a T36 is across all of your limbs.
Well, that's Deng, the Paralympic champion, who was knocked out of the places by Chavez. He came in 4th. He really looks like he's gritting his teeth and doing it tough. Finished in 4th. He's out of the medals completely after being the Paralympic champion. You can see on this near side here in the white vest, But James Turner, he showed that power and speed he's got over the final 30 metres when he got going. It looked like Didan had it, the Algerian, who took 6th in the long jump here. He thought he had a gold medal, but it's the Australian James Turner, the former para footballer, who takes the gold medal. Didan with an African record in 2nd, and Chavez a season best for him, picking up the bronze. Well, James Turner has a double at these championships, the 400. He now has the 100 as well, making up for the silver medal he took in the Paralympic Games in Tokyo 2020, draped in the Australian flag. Another goal for him. Turner picks it up, a 3rd of these championships, 2 for him, 1 for Maria Strong in the race running. Didan of Algeria with a silver, and Chavez of Argentina adds another bronze for him after taking bronze in the 400 metres. Deng, the Paralympic champion, out of it completely in 4th. So the long jump we return to, that's ongoing. It is Brazil, who have been outstanding as always at these Para-Athletics World Championships. And Evangelista with an opportunity on his 4th jump to lift himself up into the medal places. I'll tell you why. Because France are in those medal positions above him, the home nation, but by only 3 centimetres. Valentin Bertrand holds that bronze medal. There's a bit of anxiety in the crowd as they watch on, hoping that Matheus Evangelista can lift himself higher up by a few centimetres and into the bronze. When he takes off, generally you can get a feel from the athlete when they hit the pit whether they like it or not. Didn't show much emotion then, Steph Reed.
No, he didn't. And the thing is, you know when you take off. You know when you've nailed it. And, well, I guess unlike the high jump, you immediately know what you clear. When it comes to the long jump, you have to wait. But you can see there, he was quite a ways behind the board. And when you're chasing that fine margin, and it's so hard for people watching on, you can see the thumb is just... You know what I love is when people live through the emotions and the event with you. And I think that is such a great thing that the para athletics does, is that people see themselves in the athlete and it draws them in and they imagine themselves doing it as well. And I think that is why it is just so engaging and so addictive.
574. I can confirm as a parent, when you watch on what your children are playing in any sport, that is anxiety to the hilt. So at this level, I don't even want to think about it.
My mum hated watching. No, I shouldn't say she hated watching me compete, but I would see her in the crowds, and it would just. I did have an issue with fouling early on in my career, so she just hated watching my disappointment and my frustration.
Well, you almost fouled in broadcasting a couple of days ago by turning up late, so we'll let you off that one. You got a yellow card instead of a red. Valentin Bertrand of France with his 4th attempt. 5.92 with his first, 5.90 with his second. He fouled his 3rd, he's fouled his 4th as well. Trying to get that extra distance. The length of it was absolutely fine. We saw after his 3rd attempt that he went back and he had a look and he was having a joke and a laugh, and he's having a look again. He changed his runoff. He moved it. He must have moved it too far, because that's got even further than his last one.
Well, okay, people underestimate just how difficult it is to jump behind the board. And I get this question all the time, well, why didn't you just jump behind it? I'm like, well, I would have if it was easy. But the thing is, as you've developed as a long jumper, you have this natural ability to sight the board. And for whatever reason, you find yourself ending up in the same place. And that's just to do with body awareness and where you think you are. And sometimes that can get a little bit skewed, perhaps, is the way to say it. But look, trying to run at full tilt down a runway with exactly the same runway every single time, it's really, really difficult. Humans are not robots, and consider as well the wind, and consider the adrenaline and this amazing crowd that's cheering you on, and the pressure and the desire to do well. Okay, well, you can see where I'm going with this. It's really hard.
I'll give you some variety. We'll go from France, we'll head east, and we'll go to Ukraine. Here we go.
Well, Sarah Belny has had a real mixed bag, hasn't he? He's a 6-metre man, 2nd position. and the rest he wouldn't really be writing home about at the moment. 4:29 in round 3, just pulled out of that somewhat. This is something considerably better. This will be a season's best. He achieved good hang time there. Obviously, his arm movements are very heavily restricted in this instance, but he's still got out to 6 meters, 6:10.
Well, just to put it in a bit of perspective, he would have to beat his lifetime best to get up to where Impellizzeri is at the moment. 6:59, Sarah Benyu's lifetime best, 6:62, that championship record of Brian Impellizzeri of Argentina.
So we go on. And it is now the women's 400 meters T54, a single lap of the fastest wheelchair races. Tatjana McFadden we'll be seeing a little bit later. She's had a decent week. So there's 7 going in this. The first 2 will qualify for the final. And there's a couple in here from Scandinavia. New horizons. Here's the championship debutant for Norway, Anissa Abdullah, 8th in the 800 meters. Next in lane 3, the twice European champion over 400 meters, Alexandra Helbling of Switzerland. She's in 3. In lane 4, championship debutant, 6 in the 5,000, Tian Yazhuan of China. In lane 5, the reigning European champion over 400 meters and 5,000, Merle Menya of Mainz. In lane 6 for the United States, 6th in the 100 meters, 7th in the 800, Hannah Dederick. In lane 7 for Mauritius, went out in the heats of the 100 here. 3rd world championship appearance for Marie Perrine. And continuing the championship debut week for the 15-year-old from Denmark, Freya Jørgensen. A lifetime best in the 100 and the 800 heats earlier in the week. So Abdullah, Helbling, Tian, Menya, Dederick, Perrine and Jørgensen are the 7 going in this. The top 2 to go through to the final, plus the next 2 times across the 3 heats here, which are basically semi-finals. They're allowed a long time to settle, and settle they have done. So it's a very good start, as you might expect from Menya, the European champion, and Helbling as well, who has won a plethora of European medals in her time, all the way since 2012. Chan going well, and Perrine in what is a great week for Mauritius, currently up in 2nd spot. Jørgensen, the 15-year-old debutant, is basically looking for a lifetime best in lane 8, and that's the only thing she should really worry about. But Chan is going really well. Dederick has moved up well for the United States, and Helbling now beginning to come into her own in her 5th World Championship. Her best finish was 5th in the 200 in London in 2017, but now they straighten up, and it's Chan in her championship debut, who's on her way to her 4th final. There's no doubt about that. Dederick as well for the United States, and Helbling for Switzerland. It's the top 2 to go through. 53.98. Chan takes it, Dederick 2nd, and Helbling will have to wait in 3rd. That is just about 2 seconds outside of her season's best, Chan, which is also a lifetime best of 52.03. But she has done what she needed to do. Helbling will have to hang on a bit. It's a longer wait than usual. Dederick was quite impressive too, going through in 54.70.
You can just see on that shot there how wide across the chairs are, and the exact same rules apply. The athletes still have to stay in their lane, and any lane infringement will result in a disqualification. And so often one of the questions people have is, well, how do they steer their wheelchair? How do they steer the wheelchair around the track? And you can see there's a a contraption just underneath the sign that says top end, and that's called a compensator. And each athlete will know in advance which lane they have been assigned. And before they come out to the track, before the race starts, the start judge will allow them time to go into the lane they've been assigned and set their compensator. Right there, we just saw Tian hit her compensator. So what happens is she will lose half of a push with one arm in order to keep her chair straight, but that's much better than having to take both hands off the wheel and physically steer your chair.
Well, Tian Yuxuan, one of 3 championship debutants in this race.
I was just going to say, very important to remember to hit your compensator again when you finish, otherwise you might crash at the end.
Tian and Dederick are through, and they haven't crashed out. Helbling in 3rd, lifetime best for Anissa Abdullah in 7th. Freya Jørgensen, Denmark's only female wheelchair racer, in 6th spot. Solid championship debutants for them both. Combined age of, just about 30.
Well, the men's long jump T37 continues. Here's the man who's currently in the lead, Brian Impe-Yaziri of Argentina. It was a championship record earlier of 6:62 with his 3rd jump. It placed him quite some distance ahead of the Paralympic champion, Zhao Benyu, who's in 2nd position despite his season best. But this man is looking very strong. It was great off the board, lovely through the air. 6:62, he went 6:56, 6:60, 6:62. Where he is on the board is in a perfect condition.
He's in exactly the place you want to be. He's confident in his runway. He knows that's the thing he doesn't have to worry about at all. And he's now, he has a pretty big buffer at the moment. Things are never guaranteed, but 50 plus centimeters, you can start feeling reasonably confident.
And great to see him chatting with Vladislav Zhao Benyu as well, who's in 2nd position. I can tell you that is an improvement on his championship record. He's up 6:67, so he's gone 5 centimeters further than the championship record that he broke of Zhang Guangzhou that stood since London 2017. So Impe-Yaziri in 1st place, Zhao Benyu, the Paralympic champion, currently 2nd, and Bertrand of France sits in the bronze medal position. Impe-Yaziri, a silver medalist behind Zhao Benyu in Tokyo 2020. Time now for Penteras of Cyprus, who goes with his 5th attempt. 5:60 thus far with his 3rd. He's in 6th position. Well, it's not too dissimilar to his 5:60. He's been consistent. 5:58, 5:57, 5:60 and 5:55. 5:76, it lifts him up into 5th position.
I was just watching the instructions that his coach was giving to him after the run, and it looks like from his arm motion he was telling him to speed up those last 2 strides as he's going in. And what that speeding up does is it helps set the jump up that little bit better, helps you maintain your speed, and actually very importantly, it does help you to make sure that you're on the board, you're not letting that last stride linger. At the moment, he is pushing it as close as possible, and he has to do that. There is that motion. He's showing up. It looks to me like they're wanting to get that little bit more lift, that little bit more height off the board.
Well, Coral of Great Britain continues his campaign. Barney Coral's 5th, 2002 jumps thus far. Well, unfortunately, he's lost a bit of distance there. He could have made much more ground, Steph, than what he did. It's a white flag given. He knows it as well.
Yeah, this is a great runway, and he's got himself set up on the board, and you can just see that right leg just trailing behind him. And again, unfortunately, it is whatever mark lands farthest back, and whether you step back accidentally when you step up, or I've even seen some athletes who have just had a hand that's just dragged across the sand, and unfortunately that is what gets measured.
Yeah, but the ball was fine. The right leg coming down early cost him 5.55. He stays in 6th position, does Barney Coral. So we move back to the track. And the second heat of the women's 400 metres T54. There are 6 going in this one. Manuela Scher, who has 2 silver and a gold already at these championships, will go in lane 4. That is Zhao Zhequan, bronze medalist in Tokyo 2020. She's taken a bronze here over 1,500 metres already. This lady here has a gold over 800, silver over 5,000 and a silver over the 1,500 at these championships. She took silver in this event back in 2013 in Lyon. Melanie Woods, who races out at the Red Star Athletic Club, made it through the heats in 2020 in Tokyo. Naomi Alphonse has had a wonderful championship thus far. Silver in the 100 metres already. She was 6th in this in Tokyo 2020 at the Paralympic Games. Nandini Sharma of Canada, her lifetime best of 58.7. 59.04 her season best. She's going to be doing some to get through. And Shauna Bouquet of Ireland from Crockwell in County Galway made the final of the 1,500 metres. She now goes in the T54 400 metres category in the second heat. Season best, by the way, in that 1,500 metres final for the 19-year-old. It will be the first 2 that go through. Then the next 2 fastest across the 3 heats will advance to the final. Manuela Scher looking to get through to a final and chase a 4th medal of these championships, goes in lane 4. Well, they've given it a little bit more time to set there because the music, which plays when they go, started a bit early. You might have heard the opera sounds swing out. As it is, there's the athletes who are swinging out, and it's Alphonse who's gone very quick indeed out wide. Manuela Scher, though, leads currently with Zhu of China, the bronze medalist from 2020 in 2nd place. But Alphonse is looking very strong. Manuela Scher, though, we know how great she is, looking for that 4th medal. She's currently there in 1st position as they round that bend. So it's Scher, Alphonse and Zhu on the inside, who's rocketing up on Manuela Scher's shoulder. But Manuela Scher has this well under control. It is only the top 2 that go through, though, so it's going to be a battle for that 2nd spot. Manuela Scher is going to take it as she goes across the line, and it's going to be the Chinese Zhu who goes across 2nd, 52.18. And by my reckoning, it's a new championship record. It is for Manuela Scher. Tatiana McFadden's mark, which had stood since London 2017, it goes. Scher is having a wonderful, wonderful 2023 Paris Para-Athletics World Championships. 52.17 is the confirmed championship record time, and Zhu with a lifetime best for her, 53.36, taking 2nd position. Alphonse with a continental record, 53.52, coming in 3rd place. What a championship she's having.
Well, this was always going to be a very fast heat. We had Manuela Scher, who is the Paralympic champion. We have Zhu, who was bronze in Tokyo, and there's just so much depth right now in terms of the Chinese and the Swiss athletes when it comes to wheelchair racing. And so with only the top 2 going forward, a lot of athletes like Alphonse will have known that you need to deliver a best time. And just in case anyone is a bit curious about how the heats in these early rounds are seeded, because again, they are important because it determines how you carry on into the finals. When officials are seeding them, they will look at the season's bests, and they'll take them into account, along with the fact that they want to try and split up athletes from the same country. And so while it is random to an extent, there are also some parameters that the officials have to follow.
Well, Manuela's silver in the 5,000 and 1,500, gold in the 800. She was a silver medalist back in Leon 10 years ago. She sets a championship record. Zhu also with a lifetime best, having taken a silver in the 800 and bronze in the 1,500 thus far. And Alphonse, what a championship she's having. Silver in the 100 metres. She set a new continental record here, finishing in third. And I would suspect she'll go through as one of those fastest qualifiers as we head back to Sarah Benyi, the Paralympic and European champion at the long jump T37 category for men.
6:10 is best so far. This is penultimate attempt, round 5, planting himself forward well and trying to get himself suitably roused. It'll take a lot to overtake Impellitteri at this stage. 6:44 is his best going into it. Impellitteri is with a championship record basically 3 times over, and America's record 4 times over, has gone beyond what Jean Rebelny's lifetime best is.
Well, I was wondering, he did look to be having a bit of a laugh with our leader as he was sitting on the sides in the previous round. I thought maybe he got some good advice from him, but we can see there he is giving up quite a lot of distance from the board, and even though getting as close to that foul mark isn't everything, I do think that taking off from the wooden takeoff board does give you that little bit more lift. And again, we can see there a lot of athletes right now are looking at the replay back. Sometimes it's easier just to see on screen instead of having your coach tell you. Sometimes my coach would tell me something and I would disagree, and then he would show me the video evidence, and that was it. The change in technique would then be done. But he does have one more attempt left to go, which is why they're seeing where they can get that few more centimeters from. I don't think he is going to catch first, but Bertrand is not far behind him. He does not have enough of a buffer to be secure in that second place spot.
And Impellitteri having a brilliant time of it, the reigning Pan Am champion. Actually a decent sprinter as well. He's medal twice in Lima 4 years ago, silver in the 100, bronze in the 2, so he's using that sprinting speed very well, and everything he's done is beyond 650. Every single attempt so far has been beyond the America's record, and a lot of these beyond the championship record. I think only his first one wasn't.
Well, it's no surprise that he is a fantastic sprinter. The difference between the long jump and the 100 meters, in both events, you have to have a really good top speed. The thing with long jump is that it doesn't really matter how long it takes you to get up to that top speed, as long as you hit it by the time you get to the takeoff board.
Well, the women's shot put F35 does continue. We saw Maria Pomazan a short time ago with her opener. This her third attempt. So she's gone 12.22 and 12.49. She's the reigning European and Paralympic champion. 4 gold medals in 2011, 2013, 2015 and 2017. Didn't compete in the shot put in 2019. So this, to see if she can extend her lead. She's quite a distance out in front. Well, that's huge. That's well over the 12-metre mark. Well over it. Her lifetime best, 13.05, the championship record she set back in 2015. 13.59, her lifetime best. Well, that is a season best, 12.84. She's extended her lead by 35 centimetres over Wang, who's in second with a season best, and Akhnakhova of Uzbekistan, lifetime best, in third after 5 rounds.
Anna Nicholson there in 4th spots, trying to get another British shot put medal. Had a gold this week, obviously, in the F20. Sabrina Fortune retaining that title. As we go into the last round of this long jump. Outside 5:57, his best to date. And that came in the opening round. And I know when we had Evan O'Hanlon with us a couple of World Championships ago, he was saying that you can take a real amount of energy out of yourself in the coordination impairment events, which is his area. Cherek trying to regain a lot of energy for his last attempt, going out up beyond 5 meters.
If you watch his runway back, the ideal runway is one that really just builds and builds and builds in terms of rhythm, and it's almost a little bit of a surprise when you're going to take off. That one just looked to be a little bit of a pitter-patter, a little bit of a check. And just as you watch that, what you want to see is athletes carrying on all of that speed into the runway, because otherwise you build up the speed, and if you're not able to use it, then you're just not going to get the distance that you are capable of doing. But it is quite a complex movement to go from running to jumping, and it is something that just takes time. And yes, it's easy to jump if you're doing a bit of a jog, but to jump at full speed when you're already at the edge of your limits, that is a real athletic skill.
One more race left this morning, but the field action will go on for quite a while. It's the women's 400 meters T54. It is the third heat of 3. And there are 6 due to start in this. And in lane 3, bronze this week in the 100 and the 800, boosting her all-time world championship tally at track championships to 18. 13 of them gold, the 5-time New York Marathon winner, Tatjana McFadden. In lane 4 for Belgium, have already struck gold in the T52 this week. The king is proud, he said so. That's Leia Belakula in 4. In lane 5, due to be last night's 100 meters champion, but Amanda Kataya does not start. In lane 6 for China championship debut. 4th in the 800 here for Liu Shumai. In lane 7 for Switzerland, who didn't start that 100 final, but she is here, I'm delighted to say, for the 400. It's Licia Musinelli for Switzerland. And in lane 8 for Turkey, gold in the 4x4 in the 2017 World Championships, Zubeidi Zubergeshi. So the retained 100 meters world champion, Kataya doesn't start, but McFadden, Belakula, Liu, Musinelli and Zubergeshi do. It's the top 2 to go through, plus the next 2 across the 3 heats. Again, they were left a long time, but they go at the first time of asking. 55.78 is the cut-off time in terms of the qualifying. The hot seats being held by Noemi Alphonse of Mauritius and Alexandra Helbling of Switzerland at the moment. McFadden is well out into her way, straight away after those 2 bronzes this week. And the curious thing is, those are the first 2 bronzes of her track championships career. Liu is beginning to make a move now, and Belakula going well for Belgium in 3. Zubergeshi in 4, just waiting to get into her stride. But it's McFadden and Liu. The top 2 will go through, and McFadden in control in 3. Belakula going well for Belgium as well in lane 4. But Liu Shumai on her championship debut is heading for her 3rd final. Tatjana McFadden all the way through and in control and winning in 53.45. Liu in 2nd, and that may well be good enough for Belakula in 3rd. We'll know very shortly. But McFadden, no issues for her, took it away right from the start. She has lost her championship record to Manuela Schär in the past couple of minutes. 53.44 is the season's best for her. Liu going through, and Belakula just having to sweat for a few moments to see if she slips in ahead of Alexandra Helbling.
Well, I have become a huge Bayakula fan since watching her and just the aggressive style with which she races. But it must be quite daunting to know that you have Tatiana McFadden on your inside. And we all know what an amazing sprinter, what amazing hand speed Tatiana McFadden has. And she did quickly close that gap. But it was great to see that Bayakula didn't panic. She did her best, actually, to stick with her and use her just to, in a sense, hopefully get pulled along a little bit. Once again, we see the depth of China, and in fact, I don't actually even think our reigning world champion from China has entered, Li Hangzhu, and that is exactly what you want in a country, to know that you have options in terms of who you can send. At the women's T54 category, the difference between a T53 is that they have full use of their core and their arms, and you could really see Luo from China. You can see how she's powering down, lifting herself up and down with that action. That is why we have so many different wheelchair categories, just to account for those differences in strength. But a great win for Tatiana. She will come back this evening feeling really confident, I think, ahead of the final.
Very good progress for Tatiana McFadden. So she is into the final along with Liu Shumei. And for Leia Bayakula, Dankyuel, she progresses also.
It also means Naomi Alphonse progresses from her heat, who took silver in the 100 metres, the Mauritian having a wonderful championships.
Well, if you are watching from Mauritius, you are watching your country's best ever Para-Athletics Championship, either at a Worlds or at a Paralympic Games. I know there's been a lot of congratulations for her last night nationally. As we go to Pentaris, who's lying 5th in this long jump in the final round. That was a prime effort, but is it going to be good enough for him to make progress? 5.76 was his best. He needs 5.92, and actually 5.93 to be more accurate for a medal. 5.92 would match Bertrand, but not overtake him.
That was quite a neat jump in the air. He does a great job of really driving that takeoff leg, and he holds the position just for a split second, which is important because you really want to wait until you fully rise. And then he will cycle his legs through, lifting up his feet, trying to get as much distance as possible. And you can see there, actually, as the result came up, that wind in his face is quite significant, -2.3. And I can tell you from experience, running into a negative headwind, especially that strong, it really does affect the amount of speed that you're able to generate. It really does affect distance. That's why world records with a tailwind of +2.0 don't count.
Evangelista needs 5.93. White flag, fair jump, but is that enough? It is so tight, so tentative, and it feels like the entire Brazil team are out today. Bertrand 5.92, Evangelista 5.89, and if he does not improve, that means France will have a 3rd medal of the week at these World Championships in Paris. And it is a French hat-trick. Bertrand has the bronze, at least. Evangelista finishes in 4th place. So for Valentin Bertrand, bronze in the European long jump in 2016 in Grosseto. He has his first global medal. Right now it's bronze. Maybe.
I mean, this is, you can just see this, the difficulty he's having there composing himself, and this is such a hard position to be in because you have just realized your dream, and now you are trying to refocus, and the crowd is doing their best to help him. He's just gone from wiping tears from his eyes to having this entire stadium clapping their hands behind him.
Bertrand has graduated with honours. It's a red flag. It is a bronze medal. His first internationally. He's been a European bronze medalist previously. He is now a world bronze medalist. And France, the morning after Bastille Day, has something additional to celebrate. It can be a real holiday weekend, festival weekend now.
And that moment just there with your coach, that is the person who has been with you for every training session. They have seen the best of you, they've seen the worst of you, and they have stood by you. And even though it is only the athlete there, that coach has been living the entire experience with them.
All those days, all those long days, those long nights, those years, training in and out. And with 1 year to go to the Paralympic Games in this city, Valentin Bertrand has got himself a bronze. And it's going to be a silver for the reigning European and Paralympic champion, Zarabelny of Ukraine.
Once again, it was a great jump that we just saw from Zarabelny. It didn't quite have the oomph of the other jumps, but I just want to emphasize how difficult it is to maintain your composure. He knew that he probably wasn't going to be able to chase down the winner. And sometimes, to be honest, I've just decided maybe I won't bother jumping because it's more of a risk. But also, you don't want to disappoint the crowd. And there's just going to be hugs all around there.
It's great for Zarabelny's silver. For most of the crowd here, it is about Bertrand, who has broken through the ceiling. Perfectly timed with the Paralympic Games right around the corner, and the athletics happening right up in the north in Saint-Denis at the Stade de France. It is time for him and his supporters, all of them, whether they know him personally or not, to celebrate, as this man will do, as he is the world champion, the champion du monde.
The final jump of the men's long jump, T37, Empaliezeri of Argentina. Nothing to lose. He has the championship record already, 6:67 for the Argentine. A mark on every jump. No fouls. Silver at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. 6:44 was his lifetime best coming into this. He has absolutely crushed that by 23 centimetres.
You can see there just what global superstars para-athletics has been, what para-athletes are becoming, and just now the weight and the importance and the competition and the drama, and everyone's there and wanting a selfie. And I remember when I started way back in 2004 and just seeing the difference. I mean, you would often show up at maybe a high school track and there'd be no one there except for my mom with a hot pink sign at the end of the 100 meters yelling, "Go, Steph, go!" And now they are filling stadiums and it's being broadcast around the world, and just seeing that evolution is amazing, and we're not done yet.
Well, you are one of the trailblazers of this, and this is why these athletes are now seeing the rewards they're getting for it. 6:27 for Empaliezeri's final jump. Doesn't improve on that 6:67. He takes the gold medal, a first ever world title for him. Championship record to go with it. Zhang Guangzhou held that since 2017 in London, which was 6:58. So he's gone 9 centimetres past. And the Dutch team, led by Fleur Jong, who picked up a gold medal herself in the long jump in the women's category, is all over Valentin Bertrand, congratulating him along with the rest of the Dutch team. It's wonderful to see that man there, the European and Paralympic champion, Vladislav Zarabelny, has to settle for silver. He'll accept that. He took bronze in 19, and that man there, Valentin Bertrand, he was 5th back in 2019. The disappointment stuck with him. He was 8th at the Paralympic Games. He's now 3rd and the bronze medalist, while that man there you saw just behind the Argentine Empaliezeri, 6:67 a new championship record by 9 centimetres. He's 10 centimetres off the world record mark set in 2016. He takes the gold medal in the men's long jump T37 with a championship record for Argentina. Zalbenia of Ukraine, season best 6.10. And Bertrand, for the first time ever, a world championship medal. It's bronze, 5.92 for the Frenchman.
Pellizzeri, the Pan Am champion, now takes the World Championship crown as well, a year ahead of the Paralympic Games. So Rebelny will be defending that title at the Stade de France next year. And for Valentin Bertrand, chance to be another face on the posters in this city for the next 12 months. I have to say it's been fantastic just to pick up the papers here, and there's been pages of reports, front page stuff. One of the main sports magazines had a massive preview on this as well.
The lights are on and there's plenty of people at home. Women's shot put F57, Safar Jalal, who set the world record last year. She's the Paralympic champion. World record 11.57, takes the gold. Season best for Zhu with a silver, and Nassima Saifi takes the bronze medal for Algeria. Season bests and personal bests, F55s, 56 and 57 in this women's shot put F57 category.
And in the women's shot put F64, glory for China as Yao Xuan has held on 11 meters 85, the world record in her division for Nwachukwu. Goodness, and Nwachukwu for Nigeria. What a triumph. Finishes in second place with that world record. And Hayerson in the United States was third.
Men's discus throw F11, complete visual impairment. Alessandro da Silva of Brazil handing them another medal. Season best 45.30 for him in the F11 category. Taking that new record of area record for Olad, and Del Amo Cano of Spain picks up the bronze medal. So the world and Paralympic champion da Silva, he defends his world title yet again. Women's 200 metre T11, the opening heat of the morning session. Jerusa Geber qualified fastest through to the semi-finals. Geber, the gold medalist already here in the 100 metres in a championship record in that.
Alisa Mirza Yurova with a lifetime best, 26.11, qualifying from heat 2. Emma Lloyd Cassing not making it through. Chadran and Salvatini injured last night, not making it to the line to start.
Men's long jump T37, Epiazeri, a championship record for him, taking a first world gold. Zalbenia, the European and Paralympic champion, has to settle for a silver medal with a season best, and Valentin Bertrand got the French crowd bopping in the stands. 5.92 with a first world championship bronze for him. In heat number 3, in the women's 200 metres T11, it was Lu Ku Qing with a season best, who qualified in the fastest heat, the World, Asian Para Games and Paralympic champion, taking first, and also going through lifetime best for Salcedo, and Moko qualifying in third position, 27.25 for her, goes through to the semi-finals.
The back-to-back 400 metres world champion Talita Simplicio taking the final heat in this, 25.71, progressing along with Ishitile and Alba Garcia.
Opening semi-final of 2 in the women's 100 metres T12 medium visual impairment. It saw Perez Lopez go through in first place, the Venezuelan. Her twin sister Linda, who's not competing in this, is the reigning Paralympic champion. Folgado Garcia qualifying in a time of 12.81 for Spain. Katrina Muller-Rotka would have been the favourite, disqualified at the start.
Omara Duran continues to beat all comers. Season going well for her. She's through along with Melanie Burgers into this final, as expected, T12 women's 100 metres.
Women's shot put F35, Maria Pomazan with a season best for the European and Paralympic champion, making a World Championship gold. Wang with a season best, taking silver, the world record holder, and Akhtamova of Uzbekistan with a lifetime best with the bronze. Men's 100 metres T36 saw James Turner, the reigning world champion, and he's the world record and championship record holder, come home strongly at the end. 11.85, Didam with a new African record, 11.99, taking it for Algeria, and Chavez of Argentina with a season best, picking up the bronze in 12.03, adding to his bronze in the 400 metres as well here.
T54 400 metres, the wheelchair racing, Tianya Juan winning her heat. Hannah Dedrick going through for the United States as well. But Helbling Menya, that's a surprise, the European champion, not progressing.
Heat number 2 saw Manuela Schär with a championship record. She's already picked up 2 silvers and a gold at these championships. She is just getting better and better. Zhu, a lifetime best for her, qualifying through to the final. And also Naomi Alphonse went through with a new continental record, 53.52, in what was a very fast heat indeed.
And Tatjana McFadden winning the last of the heats, qualifying for the final tonight, along with Lou Shumei and Leah Bayakula of Belgium. Amanda Kataya, the new 100 metres champion, did not start. We don't have a reason for that, but she did win last night, and it was Bastille Day, and it was Friday night in Paris.
Well, it's been a morning of just 6 finals, 5 in the field and just the 1 on the track that James Turner took for Australia, the reigning world champion who defended that title. There'll be 15 finals in the evening, 5 on the field and 10 going in the track, including the men's 800 metres T53 final, with the heats held over from earlier this morning straight to a final.
It's now 14 gold medals for China. That gold in the women's shot put F64 for Yao Xuan, 34 medals for them. Brazil with gold for Alessandro da Silva in the men's discus F11 this morning. The United States picking up a lot of shots put, medals here, there and everywhere. Tatjana McFadden with a couple of bronzes. Great Britain now with 6 gold medals. Holly Arnold scoring, of course, in the javelin. Switzerland going so brilliantly right now with De Bruyne and Schär and Hoog. 6 golds for them. Raut Lily with her 5 golds. Look at that, 14 medals for Uzbekistan on page 1 in terms of the most successful nations to date. And Ukraine with goals today. Maria Pomazan in the shot put. Thailand scoring well as always in the wheelchair races. Paya with a couple of goals for them. James Turner for Australia doing it again. The men's 100 metres T36. Italy and the T12 with a bronze there, along with their great successes elsewhere. Netherlands, 2 golds for Fleur Jong, and 3 of the medals coming from the various jumps. Luca Eckler with 2 gold medals in the long jump and the 100 meters. And Diana Kremina and Iga Zapinas get their customary 3 medals as well. And New Zealand through Holly Robinson. An HSN2 for New Zealand and Lisa Adams. Belgium with their gold from Maxime Caraban and the T52 marked by the Belgian Royal Palace this morning. Finland through Amanda Katoya, her gold last night in the 100 meters. Kashifale with his gold in the 100 for Norway, and the T13 Canada with their 9 medals to date. Brent Lakatos to the 4 in there. Denmark through Daniel Wagner. Mauritius through Noemi Alphonse, their first ever World Championship medal in the history of this sport. And congratulations to them. And to Valentine Bertrand for France's 3rd bronze of the week after Timothy Adolphe and Manon Geneste.
Algeria, China, Brazil, Argentina, Ukraine and Australia picking up gold medals on this morning of day 8. 15 finals going in the evening session, 5 in the field, 10 on the track. The weather has brightened up, it's warm. We're looking ahead to this evening. From me, Tolson Tollett, Will Downing and Steph Wright, goodbye.